In the center of a heart made of candles, Yongzhe knelt on one knee. Anning, be my girlfriend, I promise I'll marry you someday. But I knew, after 19 years together, he would publicly announce our breakup. I kicked over the candles and threw myself into the arms of the handsome stranger beside me. Brother, I've agreed to the arranged marriage. When are you going to propose? The young nobleman's Adam's apple bobbed. Right now. 01. Hey, sweetheart, I just asked you out for a meal. Why are you getting all teary-eyed? My roommate Jean Tingting threw an arm over my shoulder with an easy familiarity. I wiped my tears and subtly sidestepped her gesture. It certainly wasn't over a simple meal that I was crying. It was because I'd been reborn. In my past life, I was willing to sever ties with my family just to be with Yongzhe. I spent 19 long years in a relationship with him. Standing by his side as he went from a struggling migrant in Beijing to a superstar with millions of fans, instead of a proposal, what I got was a public announcement of our breakup. A few months later, he went public with his new girlfriend. She was younger and prettier than me, dressed in a red gown. She took everyone's breath away. It was only then that I realized Yongzhe never cared for the white moonlight. He always preferred the red rose. My father died of a stroke. My mother was too ashamed to show her face, and I became the biggest laughingstock on the entire internet. 1 year later, I jumped from the 19th floor. The sting of the wind on my face was still fresh, yet somehow, I had been reborn. I was reborn into a time before I ever got together with Yongzhe. Tonight's dinner gathering was the very event Yongzhe had asked Jean Tingting to arrange. That was the beginning of a lifetime of bad luck for me, as the campus belle of Jing University. I never lacked for suitors, some of them were even exceptionally high caliber, but my dear roommate, Jean Tingting, was as blind as a bat. She was completely blind to the fact that a great guy was pursuing me, and she was always whispering criticisms about him behind his back. A guy that handsome, he's bound to be a player. Anning, don't be fooled, a guy that perfect definitely has a girlfriend back home. On the contrary, the more a suitor lacked looks, character, or height, the more enthusiastically she would egg them on and help them pursue me. This has been especially true lately. It wasn't until I lived a second life that I realized it was because her own crush, Ji Heng, secretly liked me, which drove her to try and pawn me off on someone else as quickly as possible. Jean Tingting mysteriously pulled a shopping bag out of the wardrobe. Tada, Ningning, look what I got for you, too. She unfurled a white mermaid dress. It has a very innocent, first love vibe. And it's not easy to slip away from, so, when I'm faced with Yongzhe's awkward confession, I'll have nowhere to run. Right, I glanced at the logo on the shopping bag. It was an expensive brand, costing about half a month of Jean Tingting's living expenses. Ha, Jean Tingting really went all out to set me up. Wow, it's so beautiful. Thank you, Tingting. A gift delivered right to my door. Well, I won't be so rude as to refuse it. In return, I took out a designer little red dress from my closet, one that Jean Tingting had her eye on for a long time. Her eyes lit up instantly, and she couldn't wait to try it on. Do I look good? You look beautiful, even prettier than the little flings Yongzhe found later on. Ever since I got together with Yongzhe, to save money, I hadn't touched makeup for years. I actually put on some nice makeup for once. Grab my bag and I'm out of here. Hey, Anning, wait for me. I waved my phone. Take your time. No rush, something came up at home. I need to head back first. Jean Tingting looked frantic, a false eyelash dangling on her nose. So, can you still make it back for dinner? Of course not. I never had any intention of going in the first place, but what came out of my mouth was, we'll see, you guys go ahead and eat. The streets outside the taxi window grew more and more familiar, and my heart tightened with them. I took a deep breath and finally mustered the courage to open the door. There stood my father, who had suffered a stroke in my past life, looking hale and hearty before me. My tears fell in an instant. I threw myself into his arms, and 1,000 words condensed into just one sentence. Dad, I've missed you so much. Oh, my precious daughter, who's upset you? Tell your dad, and I'll make it right. I'm a grown woman now. But hearing my dad use that tone you'd use on a little girl just made my heart ache even more. I buried my face in his chest and refused to let go. Alright, that's enough. Go wash your hands and come eat. Don't make a spectacle of yourself in front of Uncle G and his family. At my mother's nagging insistence, I turned around, and found myself lost in Ji Heng's deep, penetrating gaze. Oh my god, what's he doing here for dinner? 3. I froze on the spot, but Uncle G broke the tension with a hearty laugh. Ha ha ha, it's fine, really, no problem at all. It's so adorable when a little girl acts all sweet and coquettish, not like my own kid, who's such a quiet little clam, barely even talks to me. Thinking about how I had just lost my composure, I was utterly mortified. Suddenly, a white handkerchief appeared before my eyes. Here, dry your eyes. Despite his youth, Ji-hing carried himself with a maturity beyond his years, both in character and action, yet, I could still detect a faint tremor in his clear voice. Thank you. When I took the handkerchief, my fingers accidentally brushed against Ji-hing's, and the tips of his ears flushed with shyness. For the rest of the meal, Ji-hing never looked up at me again, so innocent it stirred wicked thoughts. The gazes of my parents and Uncle Ji kept darting back and forth between the two of us. Even with my thick skin, I could feel my face growing hotter by the minute. After dinner, Dad made an excuse about having more business to discuss with Uncle Ji and sent us away. Anning, why don't you take Xiaoheng for a stroll in the back garden? Be a good host. Because Mom loved roses, Dad had filled the garden with them. The evening breeze drifted by, carrying a sweet scent in the air. Ji-heng was such a gentleman. Noticing my mermaid dress slowed me down, he deliberately slowed his pace to wait for me. He kept glancing back to make sure I was keeping up. The setting sun cast a handsome silhouette of his profile against the sea of roses. I was so captivated by the beautiful sight that I didn't notice the steps ahead. I closed my eyes, ready to plunge into the sea of roses. Watch out. Suddenly, a pair of strong hands grabbed me by the waist. In a split second, Ji-heng became my cushion as I fell right on top of him. Are you okay? Ji-heng's face was full of concern, his heart beating rapidly. I'm fine, Ji-heng. But your face, a rose thorn had slashed a gash across Ji-heng's forehead, and blood was flowing freely. It reminded me of his last life, when his forehead was also wounded. To avoid getting scolded, I didn't even bandage it for him. I just gave him a hat that didn't even fit right to cover it up. After I got together with Yang Zhe, Ji-heng went abroad and never came back. It was only after Yang Zhe broke up with me, during that dark, depressed period, that he reached out to me again. I went to pick him up on the very day he returned to the country. The plane crashed. All that was left among his belongings was that hat. Don't cry. I'm not in pain. I wiped my tears. I'm not crying. Come on, let me get you patched up. When we got to my room, Ji-heng refused to come in, but I ended up dragging him inside. I opened the first aid kit and started disinfecting his wound. He swallowed nervously and stammered. I can do it myself. Why are you avoiding me like this? I'm not going to eat you. He looked up, a turbulent undercurrent swirling in his dark eyes. After a long pause, his voice grew hoarse. But I might. 04, Ning Ning, is that you in there? My mother knocked softly on the door. In a panic, I shoved Ji-heng into the wardrobe. Oh, my dress got dirty. I'm just changing. Mom, did you need something? Oh, it's nothing. I just heard some noise from your room and thought I'd check. Come down for some fruit when you're done changing. Okay. I patted my chest and took a deep breath. I turned my head and saw Ji-heng inside the wardrobe, his eyes tightly shut and his handsome face flushed bright red. Oh no, I forgot my underwear was still hanging in the closet. We emerged from the bedroom, both as red as boiled lobsters, and wordlessly avoided each other's gaze. Weren't you two supposed to be strolling in the garden? Why are you coming from upstairs? My dad hit us with the $1,000,000 question. I just went to the restroom. Ji-heng says he wants a little something to eat. The elders nodded with a knowing look and a knowing, indulgent smile. Ji-heng and I both just stared at our own feet. After seeing Uncle Ji and Ji-heng off, my mother took my hand and said with heartfelt relief, "Oh, what a weight off my mind. I was so worried you'd resent this arranged marriage. But it seems you and Ji-heng are getting along just fine." I buried my blushing face in my mother's embrace. In my past life, swayed by Zhang Tingting's poisonous words, I was fiercely opposed to the arranged marriage. Instead, I threw myself headlong into a relationship with Yang Zhe, who had nothing to his name. Living a second life has taught me that the love of the wealthy is often the purest. Back then, Yang Zhe chose me because I was his best option at the time. The next day, when I returned to the dorm, Zhang Tingting confronted me angrily. "Why didn't you come to the dinner last night?" "Something came up at home, it got too late, so I just slept there." "Is that a problem?" Realizing her tone was off, Zhang Tingting softened her voice. "It's fine, I was just worried about you. Oh, by the way, send me yesterday's homework. I'll go to the classroom to finish it up." Just after seeing off the formidable Zhang Tingting, someone called out to me from the hallway. "Anning, someone's looking for you downstairs." Who could that be? And so early in the morning? I went downstairs and saw Ji-heng holding a thermal lunchbox. His face lit up with a sunny smile. He scratched his head, looking at me sheepishly. "Here," he said, handing me a thermos. "My mom made these dumplings and insisted I bring them to school for you to try." 5. I took the thermos and asked, already knowing the answer, how did you know I hadn't eaten breakfast? Ji-hing averted his gaze, the delicate morning sunlight fell on the boy's shoulders, and a gentle breeze brushed past, making the scene look like a painting. Ji-hing's ears turned a faint shade of red as he stammered, I heard your mom say something to my mom this morning. At this point, in a clumsy attempt to cover up, he raised both hands and said, I wasn't eavesdropping, I swear, I just happened to overhear it. I blinked with a smile and asked, then, could you thank your mom for me? Ji-hing lowered his head, his face flushed, feeling mischievous. I stood on my tiptoes and whispered in his ear. Don't forget to thank the delivery guy for me too. Ji-hing looked up at me in surprise, his face turning an even deeper shade of red. Anning, why didn't you come to the dinner yesterday? Yang Zhe's grating voice shattered the tranquility of the morning. Objectively speaking, Yang Zhe was dealt a poor hand. He was unattractive, had an unpleasant voice, and his height was a significant disadvantage. However, he did have his strengths. Namely, he was exceptionally slick, shamelessly opportunistic, and utterly without scruples. He pursued me because he was after my family's connections and resources in the entertainment industry. My parents didn't approve of me being with Yang Zhe at first, they even threatened to disown me, but in the end, they couldn't bear to see me struggle alongside him. The big break that put Yang Zhe on the map was actually given to him by my father, thinking of my past self, who failed to see people for who they truly were and ended up harming both others and myself. My heart is filled with bitter regret. Something came up at home, I said flatly, not wanting to get too entangled with Yang Zhe. It's fine, I noticed you weren't here yesterday, so I saved some for you. He smiled with his usual ingratiating manner. You haven't had breakfast yet, have you? Here, try this, bringing leftovers as a gift. How could you even think of that? That's right, after Yang Zhe became famous, the first persona he crafted for himself was being a cheapskate. He didn't even need to craft it, he was just being himself. Yang Zhe had spotted Ji-hing long ago, but he deliberately moved closer to me, acting as if we were on very intimate terms. Frowning, Ji-hing stared at the leftover fried skewers in his hand and spoke coldly, there's no fridge in the dorm, food left out overnight in the summer, you'd better not eat that. Ji-hing looked at me with concern, his tone serious. That's kind of cute. I shook the insulated lunchbox in my hand with a smile, turning Yang Zhe down. Sorry, someone already brought me a fresh breakfast today. 6. The dumplings were filled with celery, my favorite kind. I ate with a look of pure contentment on my face, thinking about how Yang Zhe brought me leftovers this morning. I couldn't help but shake my head. In my past life, that was just like him, pouring his heart into all these cheap, trivial gestures. Whenever he went out to eat, he'd always bring me back a doggy bag on rainy days. Even though I could easily take a cab, he'd insist on meeting me with that tattered umbrella to walk home together, ending up with both of us soaked. If I merely mentioned craving buns from that street stall, he'd skip class just to buy them for me. Everyone around me was envious, saying I had the most devoted boyfriend imaginable. I was deeply moved myself, so much so that for the rest of my life, every time Yang Zhe hurt me, I would remember how good he was to me back then. Looking back now, was it really necessary for him to do all those things? It was nothing more than a calculated play for my sympathy. He seemed to love me with all he had, but what he had to offer was so careless and half-hearted, he wouldn't even see it through to a proper ending. The poor offer their time, the rich their money. Yang Zhe never gave me what was most precious to him. In the end, his fried skewers didn't go to waste. The moment I entered the classroom, I saw his fried skewers sitting on Zhang Tingting's desk. The surrounding classmates all cast envious glances. Tingting, you're so lucky to have someone who cares about you this much. I know, right? I'm so jealous of you. Zhang Tingting's face turned ashen, yet she still had to maintain her ladylike composure. When she saw me, it was like a dog spotting a meat bun. She beckoned me over. Anning, over here. Oh, what are you all thinking? This is just a thank you gift from the matchmaker. Yang Zhe has his eye on someone else, you know. She glanced meaningfully in my direction a couple of times. As I passed by, I shot back immediately. Some people shouldn't use me as a shield just because they have a crush themselves, you know, back before Yang Zhe and I got together. It was this Zhang Tingting who kept spreading rumors that we were a couple. This time, I'm going to nip the rumors in the bud. I didn't sit in the back with Zhang Tingting like I usually do. I walked to the front of the classroom and took my seat without a fuss. Nothing is going to get in the way of my studies. The next moment, a gentle, clear voice spoke up. Excuse me, is this seat taken? 7. I looked up and met Ji-hing's gaze. A faint trace of a smile still lingered at the corner of his mouth. Oh. No, the entire class was incredibly rewarding. I followed the teacher step by step, and I actually managed to solve problems I once thought were impossibly difficult. It seems my life has gradually returned to normal ever since I distanced myself from Zhang Tingting. She used to be around, always drilling this mindset into me. A girl's ultimate goal is to find a good man and get married. What's the point of getting such high scores? Passing is good enough. We could have worked together to become better versions of ourselves. She's not willing to put in the effort herself, yet she insists on dragging me down with her. After class, I returned the clean thermos to Ji Heng. Thanks, it was delicious. Zhang Tingting suddenly squeezed between Ji Heng and me, pressing her proud upper body insistently against him, biting the end of her pen with an innocent look. She said, "Gee, you're a genius at this. I'm a bit stuck on this last problem. Could you help me out?" Ji Heng took the insulated lunchbox, his mood far from pleasant. "Has no one ever taught you basic manners? Please don't interrupt when others are talking. Thank you." He stepped back as he spoke, putting distance between himself and Zhang Tingting. "You're a girl, and I do respect you. Next time you need me, please don't stand so close. It's not good for either of our reputations." Zhang Tingting was left flustered by the rebuke. "Then, what about this problem?" Ji Heng gave it a cursory glance, his tone cold. "That's a worked example. There's a detailed solution in the textbook." Zhang Tingting stood there, frozen in place, her face flushed. Who would have thought that the gentle and refined Ji Heng had another side to him? I couldn't help but steal a few more glances. Ji Heng looked over, his brow relaxing. "What's the matter? Is there a problem you can't solve either?" A little sheepishly, I also pointed to the example problem in the book. Ji Heng smiled and said, "This problem is a bit tricky, isn't it? Come on, don't be so obviously biased." 8. Yang Zhe's pursuit was relentless, but I had a countermeasure for everything. If he saved me a seat at the library, I'd go study at Starbucks. If he came to meet me with an umbrella, I'd just take a cab home. I was never around whenever he came by with any local specialty gifts. I managed to perfectly dodge every chance of being under the same roof with him. That afternoon after class, my roommate and I went to the cafeteria together. I had just taken a bite of sweet and sour pork when Yang Zhe showed up. "Anning, what a coincidence, you're here too." Zhang Tingting snickered as she scooted away from me, giving Yang Zhe a look to signal him to take her spot. It all clicked for me. No wonder Yang Zhe always seemed to know my latest news. Looks like Zhang Tingting deserves all the credit. Yang Zhe set down his tray and volunteered, "I'll go get soup for everyone." Before we could even respond, he was already off to fetch it. As everyone knows, the soup in the university cafeteria is free. I didn't get any because I didn't want any. Yang Zhe hadn't come back yet, and Zhang Tingting started teasing. "Ning Ning, look how good your Yang Zhe is to you. We're just tagging along to get a taste of the soup." I didn't respond to her. The other roommates, sensing the awkward atmosphere, didn't chime in either. Yang Zhe came over carrying 4 bowls of watery soup. "Anning, this bowl with more egg drop is for you." Zhang Tingting egged him on. TSK. Someone's got ulterior motives. I picked up the bowl of soup and held it out to Zhang Tingting. "You're talking so much, you must really want some. Here, you can have this bowl." "Oh, I couldn't possibly. Yang Zhe made that especially for you." I wiped my mouth, gathered my tray, and stood up. "Thanks, but I only drink soup served to me by someone I like. I think I've made myself perfectly clear." Zhang Tingting fell silent and lowered her head to eat her meal. A shadow briefly passed over Yang Zhe's narrow eyes before his expression reverted to an ingratiating, earnest smile. "I've had enough of Zhang Tingting's intrusive matchmaking, but I know she won't let it go. This summer, she's going to drag me down into the abyss for good." 9. Still hungry after dinner, I was thinking about where to grab a proper bite to eat. Ji Heng pulled up beside me in his Maybach, rolling down the window. "Get in. I need a favor." Seeing how frantic Ji Heng looked, I thought something serious had happened, but as it turned out, my mother is hosting a ball tonight. My brother and his wife were supposed to dance the opening waltz, but the ball is about to start and they're nowhere to be found. Ji Heng's voice was hoarse, though I couldn't tell if it was from anxiety or thirst. The way his Adam's apple bobbed when he spoke was lethally attractive. "But I don't have a dress." Ji Heng's face flushed again. "I have one at my place," he murmured. There really was. An entire wall of the wardrobe was filled with clothes, all in my size. I stared at Ji Heng in shock. Ji Heng's face flushed bright red, his eyes holding a mix of delight and anticipation. "Seeing you in that mermaid dress last time looked so good." It sparked a bit of inspiration in me. The Ji family was a dynasty of designers, and Ji Heng himself had shown a talent for design from a very young age. I just never imagined he could design so many pieces in just a few short weeks. No wonder his eyes have been looking all red and puffy lately, like a rabbit's. Ji Heng truly has a gift. Every single garment perfectly accentuates my best features. They're all so beautiful. I twirled in front of the mirror in my little dress. My eyes dazzled by all the choices. Which one should I wear? Ji-heng's slender fingers brushed over the fabrics before finally settling on a fringed dress. For dancing, this one is better. But, Ji-heng lowered his gaze, hesitating. I took the dress and looked at it. It was indeed very flowing, but the back was completely open. If we danced, Ji-heng's hand would be directly on my waist, with a complicated look in his eyes. Ji-heng finally turned away and picked another one. This one, he said. This one is nice too. I snatched the lace-fringed dress and backed Ji-heng step by step into the changing room, teasing, Ji-heng, what are you so afraid of? 10. Ji-heng stumbled back and landed somewhat awkwardly on the floor of the changing room. His eyes were hidden by the strands of hair falling over his forehead, making his expression unreadable. Suddenly, he relaxed his body and gave his lower lip a light, deliberate bite. His lips instantly flushed a deep crimson, taking on a dangerously alluring hue. With a sharp swish, Ji-heng closed the distance, his large hand yanking the changing room curtain shut. In the confined space, the distance between Ji-heng and me vanished. The tension is building. Oh no, I've gone too far. With my back against the wall, I stammered, what are you doing? Ji-heng pinned me against the wall for a long moment before finally letting out a sigh of resignation. I just don't know what to do with you. I've learned the hard way that you reap what you sow. I danced through the entire opening number with my face flushed. Ji-heng's hand was much warmer than I had imagined. Look, Sister Anning is wearing a dress that brother Ji-heng designed himself. Now that's what you call a perfect match. Honey, look at that young couple. Don't they remind you of us? After the opening dance, Ji-heng and I received a warm round of applause and unanimous praise. It's strange, when we were dancing, we were so in sync, so close, but after we stepped off the stage, we were both too shy to even speak. Gruel, I was so wound up the whole time, I completely forgot I hadn't eaten enough. Ji-heng produced a small bowl of soup from somewhere. Have some soup first. I had the chef prepare it before I came to pick you up. I took a small, careful sip, and my stomach was immensely satisfied. This is delicious. Ji-heng took my spoon, scooped up a spoonful for himself, and tasted it. It really is good. I swallowed hard. Did that count as an indirect kiss? Ji-heng suddenly leaned close to my ear and whispered, I heard what you said in the cafeteria. Huh, which part? I only drink soup that's been served to me by someone I like. 11. After saying that, Ji-heng turned to face the wall in embarrassment. Wow, when Ji-heng flirts, it's seriously lethal. Even after getting home, washing up, and going to bed that night, the blush on my face hadn't fully faded. I checked my phone. The date read, June 13th, dark clouds loomed outside the window, and the air hung still and heavy. My heart suddenly began to race, and I squinted my eyes. Summer vacation was just 1 week away. Zhang Tingting, I'm ready this time. Please, don't let me down. After the final class of the semester, Zhang Tingting was waiting by the classroom door. She turned to her classmates with a bright smile. Don't rush off just yet, everyone. Staying home all summer sounds so boring. Anyone up for a trip to the beach? At this vibrant age, the mere mention of a trip to the beach got everyone excited. Zhang Tingting, who loved to build suspense, walked over to me and lifted my arm. Even our campus belle from Jing University, and Ning, is coming. The news that I was going to sent the whole class into an even greater uproar. Count me in. I'm going. Me too. I'll go. Sign me up. Can I bring a friend from another class? The scene was pure chaos, with Zhang Tingting shouting at the top of her lungs, don't push, one at a time, add my WeChat first. I pretended to be shy, chuckling to myself, she's just using me as a stepping stone to hook a rich, high-quality guy. Zhang Tingting is quite the schemer. In my past life, I was truly at a loss when faced with a situation like this. I didn't even realize I had agreed to go to the beach with Zhang Tingting that very day, but this time, I'm not only going, I'm taking control of the situation. This way of taking a headcount is way too much hassle. I stood up, faced everyone, and offered a perfectly polite smile. Thanks for coming along, everyone. We're all heading to the beach. I just posted a QR code in the class group chat. If you want to join, just scan it to get in. The group chat has a pinned message with the guidelines and the sign-up link. Just fill it out when you get back. No need for everyone to crowd here and waste time. Most of my classmates looked at me with grateful eyes. Our goddess really thinks of everything. Let's get going. I need to go back and pack. Within minutes, only a handful of people remained in the classroom. Zhang Tingting's expression darkened when she realized she hadn't gotten everyone's WeChat. Anning, I thought you didn't want to go. I raised an eyebrow. Oh, What's that supposed to mean? You don't want me to come? If that's the case, I can always stay behind. Zhang Tingting waved her hands dismissively. Of course not. She came over and linked her arm with mine. You simply must come. I smiled. Of course, I'll definitely be there. 12. In the dormitory hallway, Zhang Tingting was sneaking around, whispering into the phone. Don't worry, I've got it all arranged, and Ning will definitely be yours. I leaned against the wall, seething with rage. I always wondered why, in my past life, there were so many coincidences that forced me to be with Yangzhe. Turns out there were no coincidences at all. It was all a scheme. We're going on a trip, with 2 people sharing a room. Zhang Tingting volunteered to handle the room assignments. I opened the spreadsheet and scrolled down. Just as I thought, I'm sharing a room with Zhang Tingting, while Ji Heng and Yangzhe are in another room together. It's quite a coincidence that our rooms are right next to each other. In my past life, Zhang Tingting and Yangzhe deliberately entered the wrong room to ruin my reputation. This time, I will not let the tragedy repeat itself. What's wrong? Zhang Tingting asked, seeing me stare blankly at the room list. She happily wrapped her arm around my waist. I made sure we're sharing a room, just the 2 of us. I shook my head, forcing a polite smile. It's nothing. I stared into Zhang Tingting's eyes, enunciating each word slowly. Thank you. Perhaps burdened by a guilty conscience, Zhang Tingting let go of my hand and avoided meeting my gaze. In Ji Heng's sports car, I stretched back slightly and said, I thought you didn't like these kinds of events. What made you come? Ji Heng kept his hands on the steering wheel, his gaze fixed straight ahead. He didn't reply to me right away. After a long moment, his Adam's apple bobbed, and his voice trembled slightly. Anning, I don't know what's happening. Lately, these terrifying images keep flashing through my mind. My heart sank. Ji Heng took a deep breath. Perhaps it's a warning from above. I was worried about you, so I came. A sudden warmth filled my heart as I looked at Ji Heng's handsome profile. You have to protect me on this trip. Okay. Oh, right. Did you bring the swimsuit you designed for me? 13. Ji Heng and I drove there because I slept in. By the time we arrived, everyone else was already there. Zhang Tingting was wearing a bikini, her great figure on full display. Anning, she waved at me with exaggerated enthusiasm, but her gaze was fixed on Ji Heng beside me. Unfortunately, Ji Heng happened to be looking away at the scenery. Come on, I'll take you to our room to change. The swimsuit Ji Heng designed for me was both stunning and daring, perfectly accentuating my figure. I stepped out in my swimsuit, and a flash of envy crossed Zhang Tingting's eyes, her words dripping with sarcasm. Not bad for the campus goddess. Ji Heng had thoughtfully brought me a sheer cover-up dress. Slipping it over my swimsuit, it offered a tantalizing glimpse of skin beneath, inviting the imagination. Zhang Tingting had hoped to win by being bold, but she hadn't counted on me not playing it safe either. The moment Zhang Tingting and I stepped onto the beach, we drew quite a few stares. Some tourists we didn't even know started whistling. Goddess and truly lives up to her name. With a figure this stunning, Ji Heng, you've got some nerve letting in Ning wear such a daring swimsuit. Ji Heng gave a slight, confident smile and said frankly, Anning is wonderful. She has every right to show her beauty. Affection must be built on a foundation of respect. Hiding someone away simply because you like them is an act of selfishness and insecurity. My eyes slowly welled up with tears. It's been so long since I've shown my beauty to so many people. In my past life, after I started dating Yangzhe, he wouldn't let me wear short skirts or shorts, claiming it was for my own good. He couldn't bear the thought of others looking. He would get jealous. Sheltered too well by my family, I had an immature view of relationships and was secretly pleased by Yangze's petty jealousy. Looking back now, I wish I could go back and slap some sense into myself. 14. Even though Zhang Tingting was wearing little more than a few strips of cloth, I still managed to steal the show. Swallowing her pride, she squeezed into the group of guys. Let's play some beach volleyball. I hadn't planned on playing, but I couldn't resist Zhang Tingting's enthusiastic organizing. She shot Yangzhe a look and pushed me toward him. Luckily, I reacted quickly and spun away, or I would have been shoved right into Yangze's arms. Right from the start of the game, Yangze's eyes and hands were wandering where they shouldn't be. Even when the ball was nowhere near me, he'd find an excuse to casually slip an arm around my waist or give my shoulder a squeeze. That greasy, intrusive touch made me grimace in disgust, leaving me feeling both sickened and powerless. Just as I was about to lose my temper, a sudden bang cut through the air. Yangzhe got hit in the crotch by the volleyball, grimacing in pain. He crumpled to the ground. I looked up, wanting to see which hero had pulled off such a perfect move. There was Ji Heng, staring down at Yangzhe with utter disdain. Yangzhe shrieked in a high-pitched voice, Ji Heng, What the hell are you doing? Ji-hing shot Yang Zhe a look of utter contempt and snapped. Keep your hands to yourself, Yang Zhe retorted. What do you mean, keep my hands to myself? The onlookers let out a collective "you." His bravado finally faltered. I was just trying to save the ball. It was all completely accidental. Ji-hing let out a laugh of exasperation and walked over to him. Oh, so you're saying everything I just did was for points, and it was all an accident too? Ji-hing had always been the type to avoid conflict and stay out of things. I never imagined he would go this far for me. To say I wasn't moved would be a lie. I cast a grateful look in Ji-hing's direction. He completely dropped the stern, lecturing tone he'd used with Yang Zhe. Becoming too shy to even meet my eyes. How adorable. After all that drama, let's head back to our rooms to rest up. We'll reconvene for the barbecue tonight. The first thing I did when I got back to my room was take a shower. Fresh out of the shower, I walked in on Zhang Tingting furtively taking out an essential oil diffuser and placing it on my bedside table. What are you doing? 15. Zhang Tingting was startled, nearly dropping the diffuser in her hand. Oh, you scared me. She forced a smile. This lamp is supposed to help with sleep. I thought I'd put it by your bed for you to try. I smiled, drying my hair. Well, thank you. I walked to the bed, picked up the essential oil diffuser, and placed it on Zhang Tingting's nightstand. But that's really not necessary. I sleep just fine. You should keep it for yourself. Zhang Tingting looked troubled, but she did as I said. I hid in the bathroom and looked it up. This essential oil diffuser does help with sleep, but its more prominent effect is as an aphrodisiac. My heart sank. I couldn't understand why Zhang Tingting hated me so much. Lying in bed, I suddenly asked, Zhang Tingting, have I ever done anything to hurt you? Zhang Tingting let out an awkward laugh. No, why do you ask? So, are you jealous of me? How could I be? I think of you as my best friend. My best friend. In the evening, we gathered around for a barbecue, and Zhang Tingting was drinking with a few guys. Preoccupied with my thoughts, I didn't eat much. In the hazy twilight, I stood by the shore, listening to the tide wash in and then recede. A sudden warmth enveloped me as Ji-hing draped a jacket over my shoulders. Thank you. What are you thinking about? I looked up at Ji-hing. In the faint light, the angles of his face seemed even more sharply defined. You. I was thinking of you. Ji-hing's lips curved into a smile. It was the first time I had ever seen someone look so beautiful when they smiled. He played music from his phone, extended his hand, and invited me to dance. I placed my hand in his as the moon settled on the horizon of the sea. We danced together where the sea met the sky. The sea breeze was thick with romance. We danced so many dances. Utterly lost in the moment, when the last dance ended, Ji-hing held me by the waist, reluctant to let go. In his radiant eyes, I saw my own breathless reflection. I love you, he said. I stood on my tiptoes and whispered in his ear. I love you. It's not I love you too, but I love you. I don't love you because you love me. I love you, purely and simply. The evening breeze was gentle, and so was Ji-hing's kiss. 16. By the time we got back, it was already the middle of the night. Ji-hing took hold of my wrist and whispered, what if we didn't go back to the room? Huh. I looked at Ji-hing with an expression that said, what's with that face? Ji-hing gently tapped my head. What are you thinking? I just felt uneasy and was worried you wouldn't sleep well, so I booked the presidential suite in advance. Oh, I said meaningfully. So, how many rooms did you book? Big brother. Ji-hing grabbed me, his voice tight with frustration. 2 rooms, obviously. But if you're angling for one, that could be arranged. I snatched one of the key cards and dashed away, calling back. On second thought, I'm perfectly fine sleeping alone. It's a bit embarrassing to admit, but because of that kiss from Ji-hing last night, I was so keyed up I couldn't sleep a wink. I'd never felt anything like it before, so this is what true mutual affection feels like. Ji-hing wasn't faring any better. The next morning, we both went out with dark circles under our eyes. We went back to our respective rooms to get our things. The moment I stepped into Zhang Tingting's room, I was hit by the suggestive scent of musk. I covered my nose. The room was in complete disarray. Zhang Tingting was still asleep, a blissful flush coloring her cheeks. For the rest of that day, Zhang Tingting and Yang Zhe didn't cause any more trouble. It's just that 2 people are acting really strange. Yang Zhe keeps coming over to nitpick and boss me around, acting all high and mighty as if I owe him money. Zhang Tingting has stopped following Ji-hing around, but she keeps gazing at him with these lovesick eyes. It's making both Ji-hing and me feel completely awkward and on edge. The plan for tonight is for all of us to watch an outdoor movie. I was helping my classmates set things up when Zhang Tingting suddenly tapped me on the shoulder from behind and said in a mysterious tone, come on, I'll take you somewhere. 17. Zhang Tingting led me to an empty room and immediately sat down to play on her phone. I was a bit annoyed and said with displeasure, "Why did you bring me here?" Zhang Tingting frowned slightly and waved her hand impatiently. "You'll find out in a minute. I've got a surprise for you." In the center of a heart-shaped arrangement of candles, Yang Zhe knelt down on one knee. "Anning, be my girlfriend. I promise I will marry you in this lifetime." But I knew that after 19 years together, he would publicly announce our breakup. Just as I was about to refuse him, the large screen meant for the movie suddenly flickered to life with a new video. That was the room I shared with Zhang Tingting. Yang Zhe, drunk, staggered his way inside. The smug look on Zhang Tingting's face lasted right up until her own face appeared on the big screen. The classmates were utterly stunned by the drama. "Oh my god, what on earth is going on? Yang Zhe was with Zhang Tingting last night." Yang Zhe claims to like Ning, but look what he's actually doing. The screen continued to play the footage. Zhang Tingting cried out as she rushed to shut down the computer. "Impossible, how could this happen? Last night, I definitely went to Ji Heng's room." The onlookers were stunned once again. My roommate finally couldn't take it anymore and timidly raised a hand to say, "You were really drunk last night, so we just took you back to your room. We had no idea Yang Zhe would go in there." "How did he even get a key to your room? Anyone who gets into university isn't a fool." It didn't take much thought to realize something was off. Zhang Tingting's attempt to frame me backfired, and she ended up getting herself in trouble. The other students' eyes kept darting between me, Ji Heng, Zhang Tingting, and Yang Zhe. Some things are better left unsaid, even when you see right through them. Yang Zhe, quick on the uptake, rushed over and knelt before Zhang Tingting. Tingting. Saying I liked Anning was just a cover. The truth is, you're the one I truly love. 18, even with a heart full of reluctance, Zhang Tingting agreed through her tears, but she kept shooting me a look that could kill, as if I were the one to blame for all of this. Recalling this scene in my mind, if I hadn't run away yesterday, I would be the one in this predicament today. It's just that in my past life, I never understood, even until my death, how I ended up in the same room with Yang Zhe. He even forced me to be with him right there in front of everyone. Maybe the reason fate gave me a second chance was because it couldn't stand to see these villains get away with it. The dramatic night came to an end, with everyone carrying a head full of juicy gossip, eager to rush home and share it. Zhang Tingting blocked my path and demanded hysterically, "Anning, where were you yesterday? Why weren't you in your room?" I ignored her and kept walking back. "If you had been in your room, this never would have happened to me." I let out a bitter laugh. "So it wouldn't have happened to you, meaning it should have been me instead, is that it?" Zhang Tingting was beyond reason. She spat out viciously, "Yang Zhe, who does he think he is? He's not even worthy of liking me. Unbelievable. She's trying to set me up with someone she herself looks down on. When the new semester starts, I'm moving out of the dorm to cut Zhang Tingting out of my life for good." After that journey, the one that became a turning point in my life, I finally let out a long sigh of relief. I still feel a lingering sense of fear, but thankfully, it's all over now. Zhang Tingting is pregnant. Yang Zhe brought his mother to the classroom, causing a scene to pressure her into going home for bed rest. That was the last time I ever saw Zhang Tingting. Later, Ji Heng and I went abroad to study together, graduated, returned to our home country, and got married. Life was like still waters running deep, quiet, simple, and happy. Only occasionally, in the dead of night, I would jolt awake from a dream, drenched in a cold sweat. Feeling Ji Heng beside me was the only thing that could settle my heart. I searched for Yang Zhe's name on my phone too, but he's a complete nobody in the entertainment industry. It turns out that without the opportunity my father gave him, Yang Zhe would never have had his big break. With just a slight turn of fate's gears, the course of so many lives was altered. This second chance at life is too wonderful, so wonderful it feels like a dream I'm afraid to wake from. Ji Heng held me in his arms and comforted me. "What's wrong, sweetheart? Did you have another nightmare?" "Yeah, Ji Heng. What if I told you I'm only with you because I was reborn? Would that upset you?" "Of course not. I should be thanking you for giving me another chance to win your heart and protect you." I held Ji Heng close. "But what if someone else's fate takes a turn for the worse? Everyone walks their own path and chooses their own destiny. My dear, you've simply set right the life that was always meant to be yours." After marrying Ji Heng, I lived with the constant fear that he would die in that plane crash 19 years later. It just so happened to be the day he was flying back from his business trip. I had booked a ticket to his location 2 days prior. I was determined to be on that flight with him. Even if it crashed, we would be together. 5 hours later, the plane touched down safely. I took Ji Heng's hand, and we walked along Sunset Boulevard. I think I've set right the life that should have been his. End. Story 2. The school bully knocked over concentrated sulfuric acid in the lab during a fight with my childhood friend. I got half my face disfigured saving him. He promised to love me forever, then turned around and told the transfer student, her disfigured face looks like a toad, makes me sick to my stomach. I died a miserable death in the end, while he took my family fortune and became the transfer student's partner alongside the school bully, achieving their twisted threesome fantasy. When I opened my eyes again, I was back on the day of his fight. I watched as sulfuric acid splashed across his face, his body writhing in agony on the ground. This time, it was his turn for a mental breakdown. 1. Today marks 5 years since Su Yan and I got married. After our argument, I stormed out only to run into muggers. The man before me snorted and drew his knife. Strings of crimson blood droplets fell as I slumped against the wall, burning with resentment. I glared wide-eyed at the men before me. What the fuck you looking at? With a face that ugly, no wonder someone wants you dead. Enough, let's go. Young Master Su is waiting for the results. Young Master Su, Su Yan, did he send someone to kill me? Do we still need photos? Stop, this face is terrifying enough. The others left, leaving me alone in the crumbling alley. I closed my eyes in bitter resignation, only to become a ghost after death. Watching Su Yan become Jiang Yu's lover, sharing her with her husband, Jiang Yu gave birth to triplets, with the children calling both men daddy and papa. The sight of their blissful domestic harmony drove my resentment to its peak before darkness swallowed my vision. Su Yan and Qi Yi are brawling in the chemistry lab. My eyes flew open, only to find Jiang Yu standing before me. She still looked youthful in her school uniform, pure as a jasmine blossom. Yet a fleeting glint of jealousy flashed through her eyes. Did I just reincarnate in my past life? I heeded her words and rushed over, just in time to push Su Yan away when they knocked over the concentrated sulfuric acid. Even the school bully Qi Yi scrambled back in panic, leaving me as the sole victim of disfigurement. As I endured the agony of sulfuric acid eating through my flesh, the ambulance carried me away while those two groveled apologetically around the transfer student. I later learned they'd brawled because both wanted to be Jiang Yu's escort at the school festival. On the day of the festival, while I underwent skin graft surgery in hiding, Jiang Yu made a dazzling entrance arm in arm with both of them at the ball. With my tragic example as a warning, the two realized their feud would only end in mutual destruction. Under Jiang Yu's mediation, they reached a peaceful agreement, and the three lived happily together. After my death, my parents died in a car accident while rushing to see me. The Su family fortune fell entirely into Su Yan's hands, who used it to fund a lavish three-way wedding ceremony. This time, I won't let any of them escape. Just like in my past life, I scrambled to my feet and rushed toward the laboratory under Jiang Yu's knowing gaze. 2. Just like in my past life, when I pushed through the crowd and arrived, Su Yan was grappling with Qi Yi against the reagent cabinet. The sulfuric acid bottle on the top shelf tilted and toppled over. Amid the panicked screams around us, I lunged forward, but this time, my target was Qi Yi. Stop fighting. Shouting those words while charging at Su Yan, I accidentally slipped and bumped into Qi Yi's back, cutting off his escape route in one swift move. Just before the impact, he looked up and saw the tilting liquid, letting out an instinctive scream of terror. The spilled liquid splashed not only on Su Yan's face but also into Qi Yi's mouth before he could close it. Happy now? If you love it this much, you'd better be ready to face the consequences. A disfigured one, a mute, and a white lotus. What a perfect match. Everyone around saw that I only slipped while trying to break up the fight. I collided with Qi Yi and fell backward, my elbow hitting the cold lab floor. The pain made me want to grimace, yet I couldn't tear my eyes away from those two. Ah. Su Yan collapsed to his knees instantly, writhing in agony as he curled into himself. His hands hovered helplessly near the source of pain, too terrified to touch, screaming in horror. Just like in my past life, back then, Qi Yi had even casually pulled out his phone to record the scene. This time, he knelt on the ground with bloodshot eyes, clutching his throat as his lips trembled, barely managing to choke out half a sentence. A few drops of sulfuric acid dripped onto his chin, eating through the skin and raising blisters. My throat, watching their agony filled me with unprecedented exhilaration. Love each other. Isn't that what you wanted? May the three of you cherish this love for eternity. Jiang Yu arrived just in time to witness the scene. The two most promising students had met with disaster. The female lead turned pale with shock, standing frozen at the sidelines. My classmates helped me up from behind as I clutched my bruised elbow. Struggling to maintain order, class rep, go get the teacher. Quick, everyone step back, don't touch them, go get water, now. Under my direction, the crowd calmed down and began moving with orderly precision. Akino struggled to stand, attempting to approach Jiang Yue when she recoiled instinctively at the acid-scarred ruin of his face. then suddenly seized my injured arm. The pain made me gasp. Saran, why didn't you save him? Even if Xuyan doesn't like you, he's still your childhood friend. How could you be so heartless as to just let him die? Before she could finish, I slapped her across the face. The room fell dead silent. She clutched her cheek, staring at me with wounded eyes. I'm not their damn mother. Whatever happened when those two decided to brawl in the lab has absolutely nothing to do with me. Got it? Instead of blaming me, why don't you ask what started their fight? The real culprit is whoever provoked them in the first place. Besides, if you cared so much about them, why didn't you break it up yourself? Why drag me all the way over here? As I finished speaking, murmurs rippled through the crowd. Wasn't it Jianyu who caused Su Yan and Qi Yi to fight? Didn't Jianyu come running back from the lab just now? She didn't even try to stop them and just ran back here. Jianyu never expected things to turn out this way. 3. I always turned a blind eye to her provocations in front of me. As Su Yan put it, Saran, you have everything. You could never understand Jianyu's struggles. She worked so hard just to share the same classroom with you. Can't you let her be? I glanced down at my 5-figure shoes and 6-figure outfit, then nodded solemnly. I never gave her a hard time. Little did I know that while man harbors no ill will toward the tiger may still seek to harm man. Here's the water. A classmate brought over a small bottle of water. Jiangyu quickly snatched it, rushed nervously to Su Yan, while still managing to explain this situation to Qi Yi, who happened to pass by. Yan's injuries are more severe. Qi, wait a moment. With great effort, she twisted open the small water bottle, ignoring the protests behind her, and poured it over Su Yan's face. Adding water to concentrated sulfuric acid dilutes it into dilute sulfuric acid, releasing substantial heat. The amount of water she poured was insufficient for rinsing, only further diluting the acid. As the water touched Su Yan's face, predictably, he let out a scream and knocked over the bottle with one hand, sending Jianyu stumbling backward in alarm. Yan, what's wrong? I'm sorry, I didn't know how to help you. Su Ran refused to, her voice quivered with unmistakable hurt, but this time, Su Yan had no attention left for her distress. I rolled my eyes behind their backs, watching their miserable state with indescribable satisfaction. The teacher arrived in a hurry and promptly arranged for them to be taken to the hospital. As the ambulance drove off, some of us bystanders kindly waved it goodbye when someone beside me asked, Su Ran, Su Yan's already at the hospital, aren't you going? What am I going there for? Aren't you? And Su Yan? It suddenly dawned on me how his constant attentiveness since childhood had created misunderstandings. Oh, most of his family company's orders come from mine. His father just told him to butter me up, that's all. The Su family had more children than just Su Yan. In my past life, he married me, and my parents felt guilty about my disfigurement. Bending over backwards to coax him into treating me well, we showered him with money and resources, only to raise an ungrateful wretch. I used to save his dignity by telling people he was my childhood guardian. Now, he's nothing but trash. After seeing them off, the fury still coursed through my veins uncontrollably. I'm not letting Qi Yi or Jianyu off the hook either, Su Yan included. Unlike the Su family, the Qi family has only one heir, Qi Yi. Qi Yi inherited bipolar disorder, a condition with low genetic odds that he somehow managed to draw the short straw on. The Qi family turned a blind eye to his many transgressions, fully aware of his condition. Now that their precious only son has suffered severe injuries over some nobody woman, the Qi family will make Jianyu pay dearly. I turned to see Jianyu fidgeting in her seat behind me, her eyes briefly lifting to meet my gaze. Just as she was about to approach, the classroom door burst open with a violent kick. Which one's Jianyu? You're coming with us. They were from the Qi family. As Jianyu stood up, 2 men immediately rushed over and roughly dragged her to the classroom door. She screamed, it wasn't me. Su Ran was involved too, she's the one who pushed Qi Yi. 4. The men holding her froze as the Qi family's steward stepped forward and slapped her across the face. How dare you slander Miss Su like that? Jianyu's eyes burned with unmistakable resentment and injustice. I said softly, it's been a while since I last visited Uncle Qi. Since I happened to witness today's incident, I might as well come along. The butler bowed slightly and, with a smile that defied Jianyu's murderous glare, gestured for me to lead the way. Does she really think everyone in this world would adore her like those 2 idiots? When Jianyu and I arrived at the hospital, Su Yan was just being wheeled out unconscious. Bandages covered half his face down to the neck, a truly ghastly sight. Thanks to Jianyu's watering, he looked even worse than I had in my past life. I was secretly thrilled, though I couldn't help furrowing my brows. Mrs. Su mistook my expression for concern and took my hand, saying, Xiao Su. The doctor said multiple reconstructive surgeries will fix this, but I knew better, they wouldn't. In my past life, my parents spent a fortune on my surgeries, yet my face remained scarred and pitted. She never once held my hand back then. She'd glare at me and sneer, looking like that, you shouldn't even show your face in public. If it weren't for my son, who'd ever marry you? I instantly pulled my hand away, with icy detachment. I said. Su Yan got into that fight with Chi over some girl he was obsessed with. That sulfuric acid bottle he knocked over didn't just ruin his own life, it destroyed Chi's too. He's so deeply in love. I won't interfere. Mrs. Su was at a loss for words. She'd known about Su Yan and Jiang Yu's school affairs but never paid them much mind. So you're saying I got dragged into this because of Su Yan? At the Chi family's questioning, Mrs. Su rushed to defend her son. No. This was just an accident. That girl stirred up trouble and sowed discord between us. As she spoke, she turned and slapped Jiang Yu behind her, knocking her to the ground. How dare you seduce someone at such a young age? Know your place. The Chi and Su families needed a scapegoat, and with Jiang Yu's two protectors unable to come to her rescue, she was in for a world of hurt. I followed procedure to give my statement to the police. The lab surveillance clearly shows those two were fighting over Jiang Yu, and I rushed in panically just to break it up. It was pure accident that I slipped and bumped into Chi Yi during the chaos. The sulfuric acid bottle got knocked over by Su Yan himself. That's their liability, nothing to do with me. Even if there were some involvement, given our business ties, neither family would dare press charges against me. No idea how they're settling it between themselves. But the Su family's recent downward spiral is rather satisfying to witness. Jiang Yu had been taken away by the Su family and hadn't attended classes for a week. A few days later, after repeated invitations from Mr. Su, I finally paid a visit to the Su residence. Su Yan went mad after waking up and seeing his reflection in the mirror. Now he's completely dependent on sedatives, with no energy left to care about Jiang Yu. 5. When I arrived, the moment I stepped through the door, I heard noises coming from the second floor. This wasn't supposed to happen. Mom, where's Su Ran? She should be the disfigured one. I need to see her. I demand to see her. Did he get reborn too? Pausing at the staircase, I remembered the argument between Su Yan and him before Jiang Yu and Chi Yi registered their marriage in my past life after I died. Why do you get to register with Yaya? What about me? We promised to share everything equally. Chia couldn't even be bothered to glance his way. After my death, the Su family collapsed, leaving the Chi family as the undisputed powerhouse. You're a married man, or do you want twice divorced as your permanent label? But, if you hadn't married Saran and had her killed, the Chi family wouldn't dominate now. Chia tugged at his tie impatiently. So what? I'm no saint, but neither are you. Without Saran, you'd have been disfigured and out of the game long ago. What gives you the right to challenge me now? Su Yan lowered his head in silence for a long moment before speaking. Tigerbot document anti-piracy. Choose little tiger for bookfinding bots reliable heavy checkmark no pitfalls. Numb with pain where I stood. I still heard him whisper after Chia left. I know, I don't regret it. My heart was shattered with pain. I could have skinned him alive back then, yet now, I lightly step up the stairs. With his rebirth too, many things actually became easier to handle. Su Yan. Rest assured, I won't let you be eliminated. Between Jiang Yu and Chi Yi, how could I bear to leave you out of this? You must go. I'll definitely help you. I'll make you taste all the suffering from my past life, and even help you kill them with your own hands. When I entered, Su Yan's entire head was wrapped up after reconstructive surgery, leaving only his eyes exposed. Su Ran, why won't you save me, you bitch? His eyes were bloodshot when old Su's slap cut off his words mid-sentence. Fresh blood seeped through the gauze. Su Yan stared at his father in disbelief, clearly still struggling to process his current predicament. Dad, you hit me. What's gotten into you? Do you even know who you're talking to, Mr. Su invited me here precisely to see if I'd help the Su family out of old friendship. Xiao Ran, don't be angry. A Yan's been emotional ever since his face got disfigured. He didn't mean it. He began to grasp the situation and offered an apology through gritted teeth. I nodded in agreement. Ran, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Only after everyone left did he finally look up and ask me, Su Ran, why didn't you save me back then? He asked as if it were the most natural thing in the world, making me seem like some unforgivable villain. Suppressing the surging hatred, I spoke with feigned concern as usual, even squeezing out a tear at the corner of my eye. How could I not save you? I was already rushing over. But then I bumped into Shino and couldn't reach you in time, I said with deliberate regret. You say you were already coming for me. His eyes darkened instantly. During those years as Jiang Yu's subordinate, Chi Ye's worsening bipolar disorder had taken its toll on him. I nodded. The constant verbal abuse. Why wasn't it you who got disfigured and kicked out? How dare a dimwit like you challenge me? For secure document protection, choose Xiao who bought reliable, stable, and scam-free. Floating beside him, I saw the truth. His compliance was merely skin deep. How disgusting when a man bites a dog. Now two dogs fighting. That's entertainment. Heard that Aikino barged in the other day and kidnapped Jiang Yue who was visiting. TSK, even pushed the poor auntie down while shouting something about. I trailed off deliberately, baiting his anger. Last lifetime. Aikino got Monday, Wednesday, Friday while he didn't even get Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. That pathetic second fiddle existence of his was downright satisfying. What did he say? For secure document protection against piracy, choose Xiao who bought reliable, trustworthy, and guaranteed to steer you clear of pitfalls. No output as the provided text is empty or contains only a non-printing character. I lowered my head and whispered, Aikino said your disfigurement makes you worthless now. That you can't compete with him anymore. But don't overthink it, modern medicine can fix anything. You'll recover. Will I, though? Of course not. He remembers exactly how hideous my face was in my past life. He turned his back on me, cursing bitterly. Chino, I'm already back. There's no way he wouldn't be. He's doing this on purpose. I watched his meltdown from behind. He spun around and grabbed me, pleading desperately. Ran, you still love me, right? You'll help me, won't you? Please contact Dr. Song Yu abroad for me. Please, Song Yu. That two-faced expert my father paid a fortune for in my past life, the very same snake the Su family bought off. I've already arranged it, they're on their way. Relax. Every wrong you did to me in our past life, I'll return in kind. During the anniversary gala, I stood bored in my evening gown scanning the hall, until the auditorium doors suddenly burst open. Jiang Yu appeared in a white cocktail dress, a gemstone necklace around her neck, gracefully holding Chi Ye's arm. 6. Even her heavy makeup couldn't conceal her pallor. The torture she endured at the Su residence must have been severe. Everyone knew how Chi Yi stormed into the Su household after regaining consciousness to reclaim her. Ah, love, how profoundly moving it can be. I sighed wistfully when suddenly a voice chimed in behind me. From another perspective, it's utterly foolish, don't you think? I turned to see Lu Yuanzhou. The frail young master of the Lu family possessed surprisingly gentle features. He tilted his head slightly with a light cough before stepping forward. Miss Su, care to collaborate? After all, dying a miserable death in my past life wasn't exactly pleasant. I shot him a piercing glance, to which he responded with a faint, apologetic smile. What I meant was, my own miserable death in the previous life wasn't exactly a walk in the park either. As the music began, he extended his hand toward me. Care to dance, Miss Su? I placed my hand in his. Dr. Song hadn't arrived yet. But Su Yan couldn't wait. My hints had convinced him that Chia's return would inevitably force him out. He returned to school with his face wrapped in bandages, leaving Jiang Yu momentarily stunned when she saw him. 7. Yeah, did you miss me? Why didn't you come visit me? Jiang Yu stood frozen in place. Without me around to mediate between those three this lifetime, she's really struggling to balance both relationships. She clearly looked troubled when Chia emerged behind her and pulled her into an embrace. Get lost. Take a good look at yourself in the mirror. Su Yan, you really think you can compete with me looking like that? His voice was still hoarse, coming out in broken fragments, and the strain of speaking only worsened his irritation. After speaking, Chia casually pushed the person aside and pulled Jiang Yue toward the classroom, standing behind Xu Yan. I clearly saw Jiang Yue glance back, her delicate face etched with helplessness, as if she were utterly reluctant. Ran, Dr. Song is on his way, right? Of course. He turned back, his bandaged eyes shadowed with gloom. Ran, help me bring Dr. Song here. In return, I'll help you outbid the Chi family for the South District project. Deal. My eyes flickered. In my past life, the Chi family had secured this project. After completing the commercial street, they reaped enormous profits and permanently overshadowed the Su family. I don't know how the Chi family secured it, but Su Yan knew. They'd been sharing resources since that point. The Su family lacks the capability for this project. He's trying to use me as leverage to suppress the Kais. A slow smile spread across my face as I pulled out my phone and dialed my father right in front of him. Dad, is Dr. Song on his way? Could you hurry him along? The call ended as I flashed him a radiant smile. Don't worry, Yen, I've got your back, straight to your doom. With that face of his, Su Yan finally experienced the same scornful looks I endured in my past life. People may not say it out loud, but their judging eyes speak volumes. Jiang Yu especially took advantage of my hospitalization to spread rumors at school, claiming Su Yan had rejected me multiple times, and that I deliberately let myself get hurt to guilt-trip him. After returning, I endured not just contemptuous stares but covert verbal bullying lurking in the shadows. Su Yan clearly loves Jiang Yu. After scheming to make yourself this pathetic, do you really think he'd ever love you? Pathetic love addict. Can't live without a man for a second. Stay away from her. That scar on her face is disgusting. The torment drove me to breaking point. I often hid alone in the stairwell, until one day I overheard Jiang Yu say tearfully, "Brother Su, you're already engaged to Su Ran. Please stop coming to see me." Su Yan pulled her into a protective embrace, his heart aching. Engagement? The sight of her face makes me sick. Yeah, wait for me. Once I marry her and secure the Su family's support and the Su family's power, no one will stand in our way. In my devastation, I rushed out and attacked them, only for Su Yan to personally shove me down the stairs. My freshly reconstructed face was torn apart again. Later, Su Yan told my parents I'd accidentally fallen. He even threatened to call off the engagement if I didn't admit to it. I was so foolish back then. After my face was ruined, my self-esteem hit rock bottom. After struggling with it, I eventually gave in, this time, without me as their cover. The relationship between those three was already exposed to the public. Isn't Jiang Yu into Qi Yi? Weren't they already together? Why's he butting in? Are Jiang Yu and Qi Yi dating? You didn't know. They were together the whole night at the school anniversary dance. Su Yan listened. Then during break when Qi Yi was away, he grabbed Jiang Yu and pulled her into the stairwell. With nothing better to do, I waited outside the restroom for Qi Yi out of sheer goodwill. Su Ran, 8. Without a word, I slapped him across the face. So satisfying. Just as he was about to lay hands on me, I took a step back and said indignantly. It was clearly Brother Xu Yan who fell for Jiang Yu at first. He even got disfigured for her. How could you take advantage of his misfortune? I've already found the most renowned Dr. Song for Brother Xu Yan. Once his face heals, Jiang Yu will only have eyes for him. I sounded like some lovesick fool from a romance novel fighting for their beloved. My dramatic outburst actually made him laugh. You're really hung up on him. But how do you know Jiang Yu doesn't actually like me? I said smugly. If she liked you, why would she be sneaking around with Su Yan in the stairwell right now? If she truly wanted you, why didn't she choose you before Su Yan got disfigured? Jiang Yu had been stringing both guys along for too long. That last incident forced her to pick Qi Yi for self-preservation. But now her balancing act was about to collapse. Qi Yi stormed over with a dark expression, and I followed close behind. Just as I reached the door, I overheard Xu Yan's accusatory questions. You're with him now. Then what about me? He forced you into this, didn't he? Jiang Yu replied softly but firmly. Stop asking. Ian, you know I'm different from you people. I've never had the right to choose. Listening from behind, I nearly laughed. No right to choose, but all too willing to share. With a frosty expression, Chia kicked open the stairwell door. Jiang Yu's delicate face froze for an instant before flashing with panic, as if weighing the odds between them. Then she suddenly threw herself into Chia's arms. Don't misunderstand. Su Yan was just emotional. I was only comforting him. My voice came from behind, laced with quiet intensity. What's there to fear? Jiang, didn't you tell me yourself that Su Yan's the one who makes you feel most special? Now that we're all here, just say it plainly. I spoke with righteous conviction, while classmates behind me watched the scene curiously. My resolute gaze filled Su Yan with confidence. That's right. Yeah, tell him bravely. It's me you love. Su Yan grabbed Jiang Yu's left hand, while Qi Yi, refusing to be outdone, seized her right. The two kept tugging her back and forth like a human tug-of-war. Jiang Yu shot me a resentful glare before dramatically swooning with closed eyes. As she fainted, Qi rushed to catch her while Xu Yan refused to back down. In their struggle, Qi shoved him. I was close enough to stop his fall, but chose not to. I watched coldly as he tumbled down, still clutching Jiang Yu's wrist, who in turn held on to Qi. With perfect timing, I accidentally stuck out my foot, sending all three crashing down together. Xu Yan got dragged away again, his bandages soaked with blood. The other two escaped relatively unscathed. Brimming with silent delight, I turned, only to meet Jiang Yu's piercing gaze. Su Ran, you did that on purpose. I arched my eyebrow, mimicking the tone of a villainess from a drama. Of course I did. How dare you chase after others when Brother Su Yan adores you so much? You betrayed him first. You deserve to be knocked down. Jiang Yu visibly let her guard down, a flash of triumph in her eyes before she put on a pitiful act. I know you like him. I didn't mean to. With no one around, she whispered in my ear. What can you possibly do, Saran? He only likes me. Both of them only want me. How pathetic. Nobody loves you. I stared at her calmly, completely unfazed. Then grabbed her hair and slammed her to the ground, punching her. Love this, love that. Are you brain damaged? Can't survive without a man's affection. Newsflash, not everyone's as pathetic as you. Disgusting. Su-Yan's rehabilitation this time will take months. They even arranged secret treatment for him. He still hasn't returned, even after everyone graduated. During these months he's been away, we've actually stayed in touch. Not just that, we even got engaged. 9. He thinks I'm still hopelessly in love with him like in my past life, planning to use me to suppress the Chi family before swallowing my assets after marriage. But that's all just wishful thinking on his part. Thanks to him, the Su family snatched several of the Chi family's contracts. Not just the South District project. To show my sincerity, I occasionally crash Chi Yi and Jiang Yu's dates, just to make sure they don't progress too fast. Wouldn't want Su Yan to return to find himself completely irrelevant. Right after graduation, I took over the company, drawing from my past life's memories. I rooted out several traders in advance, built close ties with the Chi family, and became the hottest commodity in our circle. Lu Yuanzhou was sitting across from me, sliding a proposal my way when he called directly to say he was being discharged from the hospital. Miss Su, you're nearly ready. Isn't it time to bring this childhood friends act to an end? I studied the strategy document he'd handed me, the final blow against the Su family. Just wait a bit longer. How could we end this without a gift? We exchanged knowing smiles. The next day, the proposal materialized on Aikino's desk. Miss Su, what's the meaning of this? Sitting across, I glanced at Jiang Yu standing behind Chia, quite different from how she was treated in my past life. Last time around, Chia was too busy competing with Su Yan for her affections, treating her like fragile porcelain. Would he ever have let her work as an assistant? Love only shows its true depth when there's comparison, partnership. Isn't it obvious? Ikuno leaned back and put on his glasses with an air of affected sophistication. Cooperation. After your Su family snatched so many projects from me, now you want to collaborate. In business, what's this talk of snatching? The victor is always decided by capability. Wouldn't you agree, President Ikuno? His gaze turned sharp, but seeing my unwavering composure, he casually flipped open the proposal. The matters we're about to discuss require privacy. Secretary Jiang, wouldn't you agree it's best for outsiders to leave? Jiang Yu glared at me resentfully. Ever since I punched her that one time, she'd been taking detours to avoid me. I'm Ice girlfriend, Miss Su. There's no need for you to concern yourself. She wore a smug expression, her eyes practically shouting, see, I'm doing just fine. Chia dotes on me, but it was Aikino who spoke up. Why don't you step outside for a moment? I gave her a faint smile. Jiang Yu shot me an awkward glance before tugging at Aikino's sleeve. Aikino. Ikuno snapped impatiently, get out. The Chi family had been severely weakened by my precise strikes with Su Yan's help, desperately needing to recover. With Akuno's hot temper and the company to manage, who had time to coddle her? Look at this. The woman he'd loved enough to share in his past life became worthless without competition. After Jiang Yu left, Chia took off his glasses and fixed me with a piercing glare. Going after the Su family? Do you really have the heart? Su ran, everyone knows you're in love with him. Did you really think I'd fall into this trap so easily? I casually tossed him a few photos from my bag. They showed Su Yan mid-recovery, his face not only pockmarked but also covered in grotesque tumors and scars, barely recognizable as human. This is all thanks to Chia's doing, paying top dollar to bribe Dr. Song. Now only Su Yan himself is receiving the secret treatment, deluded into thinking he's recovering, while everyone else has long given up on him. The Su family had already brought their illegitimate child back home. That marriage contract only specified the Su and Su families, never mentioned which Su heir it referred to. When it comes to cruelty, I'm no match for President Chi, though I must admit, I'm not as devoted as you assumed. Frankly, staring at this face might ruin my appetite. Chi chuckled lightly, his gaze laced with amusement. Back in the lab that day, you bumped into me on purpose, didn't you? Everyone thinks you love him, but Su ran. I believe you don't love anyone, not even Lu Xingzhou hovering around you. He was right. If I had to live my life over, I wouldn't love anyone. It was precisely this absence of love that made our collaboration possible. 10. When I left the office, Jiang Yu was already waiting at the door. Only when she saw me emerge did she finally relax. Su ran. Don't waste your efforts. Neither Qi Yi nor Su Yan will ever love you, having relied on Qi Yi for so long. Her words now lacked the conviction they once carried. Then tell me, how much do you think he truly loves you? I shot back a reply before turning away. Had she known the answer all along, she wouldn't have stood there with downcast eyes for so long. 2 weeks later, Su Yan was discharged from the hospital and reportedly went straight to find Jiang Yu without a moment's delay. Jiang Yu had just gotten off work that day while Chia was tied up with work. As she walked alone back to her apartment through the motion-activated hallway lights, Su Yan called her name from behind. The moment she turned around, she fainted dead away from sheer terror. Rumor has it his last words before passing out were, "A ghost." Su Yan wouldn't give up and kept going back, only to get publicly berated by Jiang Yu in front of Qi. Things even escalated into a physical altercation between them. Qi seemed furious. He's been accelerating his plans these days. With the Su family's stocks plummeting, it's time I publicly announce the termination of our engagement. I even made a special trip with Lu Xingzhou to visit him at the Su residence. Thanks to his past life's misdeeds, I still thoroughly enjoy playing this game of kicking a man when he's down with him. When I entered, Su Yan sat on the floor, his face twisted with such hatred it was hard to look at. "Father, you've lost your senses. I'm the rightful heir to the Su family. Don't forget, Su Ran will only marry me." Arm in arm with Lu Xingzhou, I walked in just in time to hear those words. Really, how come I didn't know about this? Su Yan turned around, his gaze turning incredulous the moment it landed on Lu Xingzhou. "Su Ran, what are you doing with him? Now that he's lost Jiang Yu, he suddenly remembers to cling to me, his last hook to power." Ran, don't you love me anymore? It's me, Su Yan. I finally realize you're the only one I love. Jiang Yu was just a fraud. I just covered my nose in disgust. Where did this disgusting toad crawl from? Stay away from me. Su Yan turned deathly pale but pressed on desperately. "Don't you remember what you promised me?" He was probably referring to the intel on the Qi family and market trends he'd shared during my treatment. "What exactly did I promise you?" "I don't recall any such thing. Just like in our past life when I confronted him after marriage, why he'd gone back on his word after proposing. He'd said it with that condescending tone. We're adults here. Verbal promises mean nothing. Contracts are mandatory for any collaboration. Didn't you know that?" I tilted my head, staring at the person on the ground as I said in confusion, "I don't recall promising you anything. Between adults, formal contracts are standard practice. Are you seriously unaware of that?" His eyes burned crimson with rage when suddenly, as if struck by realization, he lunged at me with a furious shout. "Something's off. I knew it. You've been reborn too, haven't you?" This was deliberate. "Su Ran, how could you be this vicious?" Before he could finish his tirade, Mr. Su had him dragged away. The illegitimate son the Su family had taken back instead politely inquired, "Miss Su, shall we discuss the acquisition upstairs?" This acquisition was a joint venture between the Su and Qi families. I added one more condition to my deal with the Su family, to banish Su Yan from the household, making it clear this was Chia's only demand. 11. As my words faded, I distinctly saw a shadow by the study door. Squeezing Lu Xingzhou's hand, he immediately caught my drift and shifted his tone. "Given young Master Su's current state, second young Master Su shouldn't forget to personally express gratitude to the Qi family. After all, bribing Dr. Song cost a fortune, and Mr. Qi also played no small part in bringing second young Master Su back." Su Mo nodded, speaking in an ingratiating tone. "Of course, I shall never forget Mr. Qi's assistance in this lifetime, but besides Mr. Qi, I cut him off mid-sentence. "The tea's gone cold, let's have a fresh pot brought in." "My apologies, I'll summon someone immediately." When Su Mo opened the door, the hallway stood empty. Su Yan would never know the second half of that sentence was meant to be, and I'm grateful to myself too. After all, I was the one who personally recommended him to Qi. Without his inside help, taking down the Su family wouldn't have been this effortless. After being driven out, Su Yan reportedly got roughed up by Qi's men a few times before vanishing without a trace for years. The next time I heard about him was on TV, when I was accompanying Lu Xingzhou to meet his parents. Qi brought Jiang Yu to the press conference, where the assailant slipped through the chaos, doused them in gasoline, and lit a lighter live on air. He screamed, "Liars, you're all liars. Last lifetime I was your stepping stone. This lifetime you pushed me out. Dream on if you think you'll find happiness." The spark ignited the gasoline in an instant, engulfing the formally dressed pair in flames, leaving them in utter disarray. "This has nothing to do with me. I didn't lift a finger. Just had someone let him in, that's all." Watching Jiang Yu get disfigured and Qi land in the ICU, I seized the chance with the Lu family's backing to snap up most of the Qi shares. Damn Qi's tough luck, still clinging to life by a thread, had no choice but to arrange for Su Yan to get beaten half to death in prison. Young Master Su, the Qi family fell into chaos, and I seized the opportunity to make a killing. I'd planned to deal with Jiangyu while I was at it. But after the Qi family incident, she was simply cast out, that fire left her disfigured, and what little money she had left wasn't enough for treatment. Now she's packing parcels at a delivery station, a fitting end if you ask me. I'll let her be. I never planned to get married in this lifetime, but between parental pressure and Lu Xingzhou's tireless devotion, working for me without pay, I reconsidered and ended up registering our marriage. Before signing the papers, I warned him. I might never love you in this lifetime, can you live with that? To my surprise, he agreed. We both cheated death once, no need for pretenses, just companionship will do. He's really odd. Many years later, I overheard my daughter ask, Dad, how would you describe love? He picked her up with a smile and said, love can't be captured in a single word, it's about acceptance, companionship, and weathering life's storms together. It's an action. My daughter suddenly understood. I get it now. It's just like you and Mom, yes, just like Mom and Dad do. The end. Story 2. My stepbrother committed suicide, and he died in the year when our relationship was at its worst, yet he still left his billions of dollars in inheritance to me. It wasn't until I opened that charred diary that I caught a glimpse of his crazy yet restrained love over the years. When I opened my eyes again, I was reborn on the day when my male god instigated me to run away from home. Your brother actually likes you. He's a pervert. Ignoring the male god's stunned expression, I walked straight towards my stepbrother who was standing tensely in the corner. Brother, I'm not leaving. And he just gave a bitter smile for a moment, changing his usual gloomy and fierce demeanor. Baby, if you're going to deceive me this time, can you make it last a little longer? When I learned the news of Shen Huaishu's suicide, I was having an injury examination in the hospital. After getting married, Qingli suddenly changed from being gentle and elegant to being irritable and volatile, and I was trapped in the cycle of domestic violence day after day. On the verge of collapse, Qingli grabbed my hair and slammed my head against the corner of the table, his smile manic. Over the years, if it weren't for his repeated obstruction, I would have already achieved my goal. Come on, Shen Huaishu is dead, shouldn't you be happy? Smile. Smile for me. I fell to the ground and froze. Yes. I had completely gotten rid of the pervert Shen Huaishu. I should be happy, but I couldn't force a smile. My emotions were torn in two, pulling at me painfully. The shrill exclamation of the nurse and the blinding blood on the floor seemed to fade away from my senses. There was only one thought in my mind. Shen Huaishu really seemed to be dead. Somehow finding the courage, I resisted Qingli's beatings for the first time and stumbled towards the old mansion. The former home had been completely burned down by the fire. I pushed aside the police cordon and rushed straight to Shen Huaishu's bedroom on the second floor. Qingli's abnormal attitude just now and Shen Huaishu's sudden self-immolation without any warning made me feel that there must be something fishy going on. I crawled on the ground with my hands and feet, searching frantically. Finally, I found Shen Huaishu's diary that he always carried with him. The pages were almost burned, giving off a pungent smell of gasoline. I opened it with trembling hands, my fingertips shaking. Every word in it was about me. It turned out that Qingli had approached me with a purpose from the very beginning. He deliberately sowed discord between me and Shen Huaishu and kept brainwashing me. In the end, I became his tool to control the Shen family. At first, Qingli approached Shen Huaishu in the name of his brother-in-law and brazenly asked for a large sum of money. Give me another million yuan, and I will definitely make Lily live a good life. So Shen Huaishu, a person who was usually ruthless, kept making concessions for my sake. After tasting the benefits, Qingli became even more insatiable. When Shen Huaishu finally stopped giving him money, he sent over the intimate videos of us that we had made before. He threatened Shen Huaishu, if you don't give me the money, I'll expose these explicit videos. The ominous premonition grew stronger. I trembled as I flipped to the last page. Shen Huaishu invited Qingli to meet at the old mansion, intending to buy the videos in his hands. He had made a thorough plan. He was going to record Qingli's extortion during the transaction and attach the evidence of domestic violence to send him to prison once and for all. So, if that was the case, why did Shen Huaishu still choose to commit suicide? A terrifying speculation emerged in my mind. Qingli had discovered something fishy and wanted to silence Shen Huaishu. A noisy sound of footsteps came. Qingli suddenly kicked open the charred door, his face ferocious. Shen Huaishu actually left all his inheritance to you. Even though you treated him like that, he still thought of you. I've been scheming for so many years, but I haven't gotten a single cent. Wenli, you're going to the notary office with me now and transfer the Shen family to me. Otherwise, I'll beat you to death. Leaning on the floor, I struggled to get up. The diary that I hadn't finished reading was quickly closed. As I trembled, a withered pear blossom fell out. Don't even think about it, I'll beat you to death. Qingli skillfully took out his belt and rushed towards me, shouting, "You killed Shen Huaishu, right? You killed him," and then disguised as the illusion of self-immolation. Qingli's face twitched a bit. After being stunned for a few seconds, he laughed wildly. "So what if I did? Do you have any evidence? I originally just wanted to grab the surveillance video and leave. Who knew that Shen Huaishu, that crazy bastard, refused to give it to me no matter what, so I had no choice but to stab him a few times. You know what? He was still worried about you before he died." Upon learning the truth, I collapsed to my knees, crying until I could barely breathe. "Stop talking nonsense. Now that Shen Huaishu is dead, no one can protect you. Hurry up and come with me." "It's impossible." I twitched the corners of my mouth, grabbed Qingli, and calmly lit the lighter. "Shen Huaishu, I was the one who hurt you in this life. I'll come down right away to apologize to you." There was an explosion, and the flames instantly engulfed my skin. I held the diary tightly and lost consciousness. Before I died, I thought sadly, "Shen Huaishu, did it hurt this much for you too at that time?" When I opened my eyes again, I was reborn. I went back to the day when Qingli instigated me to run away from home. "Wenli, your brother actually likes you. He's definitely a pervert, but it doesn't matter, I'll protect you. I'll take you away from here." "Okay." Qingli raised his still young face and gave me a bright smile. I was stunned for a while, and out of the corner of my eye, I saw the thin figure in the corner. Shen Huaishu's face was tense with nervousness, and his eyes were red. His slender fingers unconsciously twirled the seam of his trousers, and the neatly pressed suit quickly became wrinkled. I immediately turned cold and stepped back in disgust. My brother is not a pervert. My brother loves me the most. In my previous life, because I couldn't accept the family restructuring, I was very Shen Huaishu, my stepbrother. It just so happened that Shen Huaishu had an extremely strong desire to control me, and his discipline towards me was strictly even to the point of being pathological. So when Qingli exaggeratedly showed me the photos that Shen Huaishu had secretly taken, I was even more determined to run away. But Shen Huaishu lost his mind and tied me up and locked me up on the spot. Because of this, I thought even more that Shen Huaishu had ill intentions towards me. Every day, I either went on a hunger strike or threatened to jump off the building. I even pointed at his nose and cursed, "You pervert, I wish you were dead." Since then, my relationship with Shen Huaishu hit rock bottom. Qingli took advantage of the situation and began to erode the Shen family. This time around, I must not make the same mistake again. Ignoring Qingli's stunned gaze, I bypassed him and threw myself into Shen Huaishu's arms directly. "Brother, this person is speaking ill of you behind your back." I clearly felt Shen Huaishu's body stiffen, and a look of panic flashed in his usually indifferent eyes. His arms slightly lifted, forming an arc as if he wanted to hug me, but then he stopped in midair, looking a bit at a loss. That's right, at that time, I was extremely resistant to Shen Huaishu's touch and regarded him like the plague. I still remember that once during a meal, Shen Huaishu just tucked a strand of hair behind my ear. I was so angry that I rushed to the barber shop and cut my hair into a super short style. Since then, Shen Huaishu always deliberately kept a distance from me. He was so careful that it made people feel sorry for him. My heart ached, and I took the initiative to hold his wrist and press it against myself. "Wenli." Qingli stared at me in disbelief and tried to pull me away. Shen Huaishu's big hand on my waist suddenly tightened, and his voice was filled with a murderous intent. "What if you touch her?" Qingli was intimidated by Shen Huaishu's terrifying aura and cast a hurt look at me. "I don't like you, and I don't believe your words, so please stay away from me in the future." I wasn't falling for his act and spoke on my own. "Did you hear that? Get lost." Shen Huaishu parted his thin lips slightly and said calmly. Qingli seemed to be irritated and roared defiantly, "Shen Huaishu, even if Wenli doesn't leave with me, she still won't like you." Shen Huaishu paused in his steps, and the look in his eyes was dark and unclear. My sudden change of attitude without any warning was indeed suspicious. My heart immediately rose to my throat, and I quickly explained, "It's not like that." But Shen Huaishu just let out a casual chuckle. The sound was very soft, as if he was trying to convince himself, "If she says so, I'll believe it." Qingli stared at me deeply for a while and then turned away. I was afraid that Shen Huaishu would misunderstand something, so I said earnestly, "Brother, I'm not leaving, baby. Did you see me standing there eavesdropping just now?" Shen Huaishu looked desolate, and his voice was a bit unsteady. Did he think that my saying I wouldn't leave was just a delaying tactic? Yes, but enough. As if afraid that I would shatter his longed-for dream. Shen Huaishu interrupted me angrily, his proud spine slumped down, As if he was suppressing great pain, I was startled by his loud voice and stood there stunned. Brother, Shen Huaishu gave a bitter smile for a moment, and his voice carried a pleading tone. Baby, if you're going to deceive me this time, can you make it last a little longer? I originally thought that this time, since I had rejected Qingli, Shen Huaishu wouldn't restrict me anymore. Unexpectedly, Shen Huaishu was more on guard than in the previous life. After we got home, Shen Huaishu instructed his secretary to seal off the villa. Only bodyguards and trustworthy servants were left, and even the tutors were all sent away. I curled up on the sofa, feeling depressed and thinking, if I can't get out, how can I collect evidence to send that scumbag Qingli to jail? The end of my sophomore year was also the last deadline for me to submit my application for a major transfer. Shen Huaishu helped me ask for leave from the school, and I couldn't take many exams. I had also thought that after studying finance, I could help Shen Huaishu manage the company. In my previous life, he didn't have anyone he could confide in around him, and he also had to guard against internal moles plotting against him. He was hospitalized several times due to overwork. Sit up straight, this is bad for your waist. Shen Huaishu loosened his cuffs and returned to his usual cold demeanor. I can't get up. I deliberately wanted to get closer to Shen Huaishu and opened my arms towards him. Shen Huaishu was slightly stunned, and his expression was a bit unnatural. Get up by yourself, hurry up, I want a hug. I can only get up with a hug. I softened my voice and acted coquettishly, looking at him expectantly. Shen Huaishu closed his eyes, and his breathing became heavy. Baby, don't play with me, brother. I love you, I'll be good from now on, and we'll live a good life together. I held his drooping hand and swayed it back and forth slightly. Before I died in my previous life, I finally figured out why I hated Shen Huaishu so much. It turned out that I had been suppressing my love for him. I desperately convinced myself that I wasn't a monster who liked my brother. Coupled with those misunderstandings, in the end, I fell into Qingli's arms. Shen Huaishu seemed to have made a great determination and turned around resolutely. I won't allow you to leave with Qingli. Don't waste your efforts. Sure enough, he still doubted my motives. It seemed that I couldn't explain it clearly in just a few words. It would be better to prove it with my actions. Without having time to put on my slippers, I ran barefoot in front of him and blocked his way. The floor is cold, stepping on his leather shoes. I stood on tiptoe and clung to his broad shoulders. All of Shen Huaishu's angry words were silenced by my kiss. Our breaths intertwined, and I explored clumsily. I could clearly feel Shen Huaishu's body temperature rising, and his big hand on my back was trembling faintly. Brother, do you believe me now? I raised my head and looked at him expectantly. Shen Huaishu came to his senses and pushed me away violently. Wenli, it's really hard for you to go this far for him. There was pain suppressed in Shen Huaishu's eyes, and his tone was gloomy and fierce. Someone, lock the young lady in her bedroom and don't allow her to step out even a single step. Shen Huaishu was as angry as a lion whose territory had been invaded, letting out a terrifying roar. I completely didn't expect him to react like this and anxiously patted the door panel. Brother, believe me, why don't you believe me? Shen Huaishu let out a self-deprecating laugh, his voice broken. Baby, I have believed you too many times. I opened my mouth but couldn't find a word to refute. Yes, I had taken advantage of his trust and hurt him again and again. Shen Huaishu didn't not believe me. It was precisely because he believed me too much that he was deceived by my clumsy lies. I slid down the wall and sat on the ground, covering my face feebly. Tears seeped out from between my fingers, and my heart ached so much that I could hardly breathe. Shen Huaishu inherited the company when he was 18 years old and cleared out the opposition with thunderous means. He was always decisive outside and wouldn't allow others to challenge his authority. Yet such a person who was in control of everything unconditionally indulged me as I crossed his bottom line. He would even make excuses for me. In the dead of night, I tossed and turned but couldn't fall asleep. There was a soft rustling sound coming from the window, and I got up vigilantly. Who is it? It's me. Don't be afraid. Qingli climbed in through the window and walked towards me. I was startled by him and instinctively shrank back. How did you get in? This villa had strict security and was built on a remote mountainside. Qingli was alone. How could he enter my room so easily unless there was an insider? It seemed that Qingli was more difficult to deal with than I had imagined. This terrifying speculation flashed through my mind, and I subtly groped for the phone hidden under the pillow. Wenli, the last time you didn't leave with me, was it because you saw Shen Huaishu behind me? You're so smart, you figured it out right away. If we had torn our relationship apart on the spot, he definitely wouldn't have let us leave. There was excitement on Qingli's face, and he lowered his voice. But it doesn't matter, I have a new plan. Steal the household registration book. I'll come to pick you up tomorrow morning, and we'll go directly to register for marriage. Once we're married, no one can separate us. In my previous life, I was moved by his sweet words and impulsively got the marriage certificate. From then on, I was completely controlled by Qingli and became his bargaining chip to blackmail Shen Huaishu. Anger surged in my chest, and I couldn't wait to tear off his hideous mask right away, so I secretly pressed the recording button and forced myself to calm down. How did you get in here? Aren't you afraid that Shen Huaishu will find out? I bribed the security guards in the monitoring room. Pretty impressive, right? Looking at his self-satisfied posture, I took the opportunity to continue coaxing him. But what if Shen Huaishu catches up? What should we do then? He will definitely take revenge on us. Look, do you see this? Qingli took out a box of pills from his pocket and waved it at me. You find a way to replace the box of pills in Shen Huaishu's pocket with this one later, and everything will be fine. In my previous life, Qingli tricked me into thinking that these were just small-dose sleeping pills, but in fact, the whole box was chronic poison, and it also had the side effect of stimulating Shen Huaishu's mental illness to flare up. Shen Huaishu had no defenses against me. After taking the fake medicine, he became dazed. He got into a car accident on his way to chase after me and almost lost his life. I clenched my teeth in resentment and forced a false smile. Okay, don't worry, Wenli, I love you, we'll be together soon. Qingli blew me a kiss pretending to be affectionate and got up to leave. I clenched the box of pills in my hand, and my expression turned cold. Now there is both the recording and the physical evidence. He probably won't be able to escape the charges of attempted murder and breaking into a private residence. The next day, I still hadn't figured out how to persuade Shen Huaishu to meet me. Then he pushed open the door. I ran up to him in surprise. Brother, there were dark circles under Shen Huaishu's eyes, as if he hadn't slept all night. Wenli, when you said you loved me, was it true? He looked at me stubbornly, with a sadness in his eyes that I couldn't understand. Shen Huaishu rarely called me by my full name, except when he was angry, so I felt an unexplainable sense of unease. Of course it's true. Because of my lack of security, I instinctively wanted to hold Shen Huaishu's hand, but he dodged. Brother, I frowned in confusion and stood there awkwardly. Shen Huaishu smiled, but as he smiled, his eyes turned red. How much do you love me? So much that you want to kill me, right? Shen Huaishu flipped over the bedside table and stared fixedly at the box of pills that scattered on the ground. No, brother, I saw it all. What else do you want to argue about? Shen Huaishu sneered and took out a tablet. On it was clearly playing the video of the conversation between Qingli and me last night. He installed a monitor in the bedroom, which didn't happen in my previous life. I panicked and wanted to step forward, but was held back by the bodyguards. Baby, didn't I tell you? If you're going to deceive for a longer time, why can't you keep up the act so soon? Ironically, my elder brother almost fell for it again. Shen Huaishu grabbed my chin, his grip so strong that it seemed he wanted to crush me. His tone was sinister and full of madness. Brother, I didn't mean to harm you. Take out my phone and look. I secretly recorded everything Qingli said. I took this box of medicine to preserve the evidence. He was able to sneak in so easily last night because he had an insider. I suspect there are also his people in the company. Brother, you can choose not to believe me, but you must find the mole as soon as possible and use these evidences to put Qingli in jail. His target has never been me, but the Shen Corporation in your hands. Shen Huaishu's eyelashes trembled slightly, and his expression softened a bit. Do you really want me to sue him? Qingli said he would find a way to pick me up today. You should quickly send someone to search for any suspicious vehicles near the villa. I remember the license plate number is 7967. It would be best to catch him in the act, I added anxiously. Shen Huaishu slowly stroked my eyebrows and eyes, and his fingertips stopped on my lips. Baby, if you lie again, I will sew your mouth shut, and you will only be able to kiss me for the rest of your life. Shen Huaishu's voice was bone-chillingly cold, and he faintly curled his lips. You all go down and investigate now. Yes, soon. The bodyguards brought Qingli in, holding him captive. Shen Huaishu lazily reclined on the sofa and slightly raised his eyebrows. Baby, what do you think I should do to punish your old lover? He emphasized the last three words very heavily, as if venting his anger. Qingli struggled desperately and didn't forget to maintain his affectionate persona. Shen Huaishu, do you think you can separate us like this? No, Wenli will only hate you more. Wenli, don't be afraid. Don't worry about me. As long as I can be with you, I'm not afraid of anything. Shen Huaishu's fingers gripping the classic glass tightened for a moment, revealing his unease. I gave him a reassuring smile and got up to walk in front of Qingli. I sneered and leisurely admired his embarrassed appearance. Why should I worry about you? You broke into a private residence, asked me to drug my brother, and tried to kill him. How should we settle this score? After saying that, I turned to look at Shen Huaishu. Is it too lenient to send him directly to the police station? Why don't we have someone drag him down and beat him up first, and say he fell on his own while trying to escape? Brother, remember to hire the best lawyer. Let's strive to make his sentence go from 5 years to 10 years, or from 10 years to 20 years. Qingli was stunned for a few seconds and then screamed in disbelief. Wenli, are you crazy? I felt a bit of schadenfreude and said word by word, I'm not crazy, but you definitely have to be driven crazy by the torture. The bodyguards understood and promptly picked up Qingli and took him to the basement. The door was closed, and only Shen Huaishu and I were left in the room. The lighting in the room was a bit dim. He lowered his eyes, and the emotions in his eyes were hard to discern. Taking a bold step, I directly straddled his lap. I wrapped my arms around his neck, leaned forward, and rubbed my nose against his cheek. Brother, still don't believe me? Shen Huaishu's eyes darkened, and his tone was restrained. Baby, be good and get down. I won't. Do you still suspect me? I persisted and looked directly at him, pouting my lips in a pitiful way. I don't. Shen Huaishu's voice was slightly hoarse, and the veins on his neck bulged. If you don't, why are you still like this? I think you just don't believe me. My temper flared up, and I angrily bit his lower lip, looking at the distinct tooth mark on it. I felt like I had regained my dignity. Unexpectedly, the next second, everything turned upside down. Shen Huaishu skillfully pinned me underneath him. Our eyes met, and an ambiguous atmosphere filled the air. As if realizing what he had done, Shen Huaishu got up panting. I'm your brother. Don't make such jokes in the future. Looking at the tips of his red ears, I smiled and grabbed his tie. Shen Huaishu, do you really only see me as your sister? Shen Huaishu's face stiffened. His sexy Adam's apple rolled, and in the end, he couldn't give an answer. So I became even more daring and unbuttoned his shirt. My fingers stroked his abs and went all the way down, hooking onto his metal belt. But Shen Huaishu, I don't want to be your sister anymore. Shen Huaishu's personality is very contradictory. On the one hand, he is extremely paranoid and desires absolute control over people and things. On the other hand, he is extremely self-deprecating, which is also the reason why he didn't dare to express his feelings in my previous life. Especially when facing me, Shen Huaishu often couldn't reconcile his feelings. Therefore, I misunderstood him for most of my life. In this life, I don't want to miss him again, and I don't want to wait any longer. Since he doesn't dare to get close, then I will take the initiative. Baby, you will regret it. You don't know me. Shen Huaishu seemed to have some difficulty saying it, and his expression was gloomy. I will accept everything about you, whether you're in a suit and tie or hiding behind the wardrobe. Shen Huaishu installed a hidden door in my wardrobe. On many quiet nights, after I fell asleep, he would hug me. I also know that he has a secret room, which is densely filled with my photos, all of which were taken secretly. Well, it's kinda perverted, baby. Desire spread, and Shen Huaishu murmured my name almost obsessively, seeing the crazy longing in his eyes. I tilted my head back and kissed him. Then everything started to get out of control. Shen Huaishu forcefully pressed the back of my head, seizing every bit of air in my mouth. The heat spread like wildfire, and Shen Huaishu brutally ignited my body. I hardly had any rationality left, and I pushed his solid chest with difficulty. Stop, not here. I was brave enough to tease him just now, but now that it's really the critical moment, I'm a bit hesitant. Shen Huaishu chuckled, and his movements became even more intense. Baby, don't be in a hurry. We'll go one place at a time. Help, is he deliberately misinterpreting my meaning? In the end, I was carried onto the desk by Shen Huaishu. In a daze, I accidentally swept the diary off the desk. It fell to the ground and opened in a messy way. A soft spot of light spilled in through the gap in the curtains and happened to fall on the sentence that I couldn't finish reading in my previous life. It read, "The pear flower is a metaphor, and you are the real thing." And that pear flower was still in full bloom, exuding a fresh pale white color. Feeling Shen Huaishu's strong heartbeat, my tears suddenly fell. Shen Huaishu kissed the corner of my eye and said softly, "Did I hurt you?" "No." "Then why are you crying?" "I'm just too happy, baby. I can make you even happier." He smiled and coaxed me, deliberately softening his voice, which made him seem even more alluring and affectionate. I've heard this nickname many times, but I still blush. This night seemed both extremely long and extremely short. How should I describe it? It's as if I've lived 2 lifetimes. But only at this moment do I truly want to live. I originally thought that life would go on peacefully like this, but in just half a month, I received the news that Qingli was released from prison. What on earth is going on? The unknown fear is always particularly tormenting, and I slapped the desk in a hurry. Shen Huaishu took my hand and gently rubbed it, carefully examining it. Does it hurt? It's all red. Ah, it doesn't hurt. Hurry up and talk about the important thing. I gave him an impatient look and said anxiously, that day, I tentatively told Shen Huaishu about my memories of the previous life. He investigated several department managers according to the clues I gave, but found nothing. This made me even more panicked. Why isn't things developing according to the pattern of my previous life? Shen Huaishu pursed his lips, looking a bit like a wronged little wife who didn't dare to voice her anger. Aren't I just caring about you, baby? Do you dislike me now? Talk about the important thing. Oh, then tell me. It's just that someone found a scapegoat for Qingli to take the blame, and also spent a large amount of bail money to release him, so in the end, he was only classified as a burglary case. How is that possible? There must be a big shot behind him, otherwise. Just by himself, he couldn't have handled these things so thoroughly and wouldn't have been able to come up with so much money. Qingli came from a poor family and had a tough time in the early years. In my previous life, he wanted to use me as a stepping stone to enter the Shin Corporation and rise to the top in one fell swoop. I've already sent people to investigate. Shen Huaishu handed me a stack of documents. It clearly recorded the income and expenditure records of Qingli's bank account. He just got out of prison yesterday. How could he transfer 500,000 yuan? In my previous life, before Qingli and I got married, Shen Huaishu sent someone to investigate his net worth. It was exactly 500,000 yuan, neither more nor less. This was all the savings he had accumulated from working after graduation. He had always been greedy for money. So how could he spend all his savings at once? Qingli is very smart. This money has passed through several accounts and even went overseas once. But the more cautious he is, the more it indicates that there is a problem. So I dug deeper and found that the recipient is the person in charge of our headquarters. Has the mole been caught? Yes, I've already sent people to monitor them. I also basically have a grasp of their specific plan. I let out a sigh of relief. I still feel that things aren't that simple. Don't worry, I'll handle it well. Just as I was starting to feel at ease, Shen Huaishu's special assistant knocked on the door with a serious expression. Come in, President. Company R has just launched a batch of new products. Their new products are exactly the same as our unannounced patents, from the packaging to the formula. I know, don't panic. You immediately notify the senior management and hold a meeting right away. The shareholders are already in the meeting room. The special assistant looked at me and hesitated to speak. Go on. The manager of the RD department said that a Mr. Qingli reported anonymously that Miss Wen leaked the business secrets. The shareholders are very emotional now. I see. I'll go there right away. I nervously grabbed Shen Huaishu's hand. I didn't do it. I believe you. Shen Huaishu calmly opened the computer and uploaded the materials, as if he wasn't surprised at all. Did you already guess that Qingli would cause this trouble? Shen Huaishu held my hand back. With a calm smile but a hint of fierceness in his eyes, I didn't originally want to push him to his death, but he shouldn't have, above all else, targeted you. In the meeting room, Qingli's gaze landed on the hands that Shen Huaishu and I were holding, and his expression turned venomous. Shen Huaishu pressed my shoulder and motioned for me to sit in the upper seat that originally belonged to him, and he stood by my side. Suddenly, the expressions of everyone in the room changed slightly, and the looks they gave me became more reserved. Handing the USB drive to the secretary, Shen Huaishu calmly spoke. I heard that you all have some opinions about my girlfriend. Everyone present was a shrewd person. After seeing Shen Huaishu's attitude towards me, they all started to play for time and didn't want to be the one to take the lead. Qingli's face turned darker and darker, and he couldn't hold back and stood up. Mr. Shen, I want to report that Miss Wen leaked the business secrets. Do you have any evidence? Shen Huaishu raised his lips calmly, looking relaxed. Wen Li and I used to be in a relationship, so we were bound to the same email account. These days, I accidentally found that she sent a lot of internal materials to Group R. How can you prove that these documents were sent by Wen Li? Hacking accounts is a common thing these days. I also have a video of Wen Li entering and leaving the laboratory to copy the materials, as well as the bank transfer records. The receipts show that Wen Li has transferred money to the person in charge of Group R several times. How do you explain these? Cold sweat broke out on my palms, and I angrily looked at Qingli. At that time, Qingli told me that Shen Huaishu had ruined his postgraduate project in order to force him to leave, and he asked me to go to the laboratory of the Shin Corporation to help him find some clues. When we were in a relationship, Qingli also lied to me, saying that he wanted to prepare a marriage fund for our future and tricked me into transferring money to an account every month. I never expected that he had already started making plans for himself so early. Transferring money doesn't necessarily mean it's an improper transaction, and entering the laboratory doesn't necessarily mean it's related to this leakage of secrets. If any of the shareholders have doubts about these behaviors, I don't mind applying for the intervention of the judicial authorities for investigation. After all, I also really want to know which mastermind behind the scenes has been dragging my people into trouble. Qingli seemed not to have expected that Shen Huaishu would be so calm and composed, and a trace of crack appeared in his proud expression. In my previous life, the reason why he could provoke Shen Huaishu time and time again and take advantage of the loopholes was that he had me in his grasp, but this time, Shen Huaishu had no weaknesses. Qingli's expression was a bit ferocious, and his face turned red as he shouted loudly, "Then does Mr. Shen dare to find someone to confront me? You're welcome to do so at any time." Qingli glanced at me and said impatiently, "The witnesses are the financial officer of Group R and the manager of the scientific research department of the Shen Corporation. They are both willing to testify that when they secretly operated to leak the secrets. Is that so? Then let's hear it." Shen Huaishu propped himself up on the conference table with one hand and leaned slightly forward with his upper body. He exuded an intimidating sense of oppression even though he didn't really do anything, as if he was sure of victory. Qingli grinned, and there was even a hint of contempt in his eyes when he looked at Shen Huaishu. I secretly laughed in my heart. It's just like opening champagne in the middle of the game. He's just a complete clown, but on the surface, I still pretended to be weak and vulnerable. Let him be happy for a while longer. This way, the sense of uneasiness will be big enough, right? Qingli was full of confidence, and his nostrils kept flaring because of excitement. "Speak up, you guys, hurry up and say it." The female financial officer hesitated for a moment, then directly knelt on the ground and started crying. "Mr. Shen, Qingli forced me to come and slander Miss Wen. I'm a girl with no one to rely on outside, and I really had no choice. Mr. Shen, please save me." The manager of the scientific research department followed suit, with a sorrowful expression on his face. I was temporarily bewitched and accepted Qingli's bribe, so I intended to frame Miss Wen. In fact, all of this was planned by Qingli, and he also stole the patent. I beg Mr. Shen to show mercy considering that I turned myself in. Yes, it was all planned by Qingli. He had long colluded with Group R to deal with our Shen Corporation, the financial officer hastily echoed, in tears. Shen Huaishu was richer than Qingli or Group R, and his methods were even more ruthless. He just invited their families to spend a few days on vacation in the private valley under the Shen Corporation's name, and these two moles were so scared that they defected immediately. The situation was reversed in an instant, and Qingli was so shocked that he could hardly stand steady. "You're crazy, how dare you frame me? Bitch, you took my benefits and then turned against me. They're all talking nonsense, don't believe them." Qingli was so angry that he didn't care about his image and started cursing. He even blurted out and admitted to bribing others without thinking. The shareholders present all showed expressions of disgust and made sighing sounds. These voices undoubtedly stimulated Qingli's broken nerves again. He rushed up and tried to hit me. "It's you, isn't it you who did this?" The security guards rushed forward quickly and controlled him, looking at his twisted appearance lying on the carpet. Shen Huaishu leisurely turned on the large screen. On it were scrolling the criminal evidence of Qingli and the transaction videos of hiring people to convict others. "Congratulations, you've got 2 new charges. You've known about this for a long time, haven't you? I'm going to kill you all. Wen Li, even though you're my wife, you still dared to betray me. The thing I regret the most is not killing you earlier. No, Group R will protect me. We're in the same boat. And I've done so much for them, they can't just ignore me." Qingli roared wildly, and his resentful eyes seemed to pierce through me. "You're thinking too much. Group R can't even save itself now, so how can they have the time to take care of you?" Shen Huaishu smiled sarcastically and looked down on Qingli's ugly appearance. The assistant enlarged the small window at the bottom of the screen, and it strikingly showed the live broadcast page. Group R originally wanted to join forces with Qingli to put the Shen Corporation in a situation of internal and external troubles, but now they have completely shot themselves in the foot. There were already tens of thousands of bullet comments, all accusing Group R of being shameless. Public opinion was boiling, and the stock price plummeted. Group R probably had no chance of making a comeback. "This is impossible. If we do it again, I can't lose to you all again." Qingli stared wide-eyed as if he couldn't rest in peace, and his behavior became more and more crazy. do it again. Hearing this sentence, I was suddenly stunned, and my hands and feet instantly turned cold. Qingli had also been reborn. No wonder I didn't find anything when I tried to catch the mole according to my memories of the previous life. I couldn't imagine how miserably we would have lost if Shen Huaishu hadn't made preparations in advance this time. Shen Huaishu keenly sensed my emotions and squeezed my palm. Don't worry, even if we do it 100 times over, he's no match for your man. As long as you're on my side, I can't lose. The sound of police sirens came closer and closer, and 2 policemen came in to arrest Qingli. The shareholders left one after another, and the assistant started cleaning up the scene, just when everyone relaxed their vigilance. Qingli suddenly broke free from the restraint while the police were putting handcuffs on him. He desperately grabbed my neck and took out a small knife and pressed it against my face. Step back, all of you step back. Okay, we'll all step back. Shen Huaishu had to let go of the hand that was holding my arm, and his voice trembled. Taking a deep breath, I tried to negotiate. You're hurting someone in front of the police now, and there's no turning back for you. If you let me go now, maybe you can get a lighter sentence. Turning back. You've all pushed me to this point. What turning back do I have? Qingli roared viciously, and the knife in his hand cut my cheek. I sucked in a breath of cold air in pain, and my fingers curled up in pain. Calm down, you can put forward any conditions you want. Shen Huaishu was tense all over, staring at me without moving. Fine, then all of you can be buried with me. I can't escape, and neither of you will have a good time. Do it again, you're still no match for me. Qingli's eyes were blood red. And he held me hostage and moved to the corner. He kicked over the water dispenser bucket and laughed wildly. Didn't you expect this? I still have a backup plan. Does this feeling seem familiar? This time, you're still going to die in my hands. I don't know when he replaced the water inside with gasoline. The pungent smell quickly filled the air. I couldn't stop shivering and said in despair, Shen Huaishu, leave quickly. Qingli lit the lighter and said in a mean tone, yo, so infatuated. As long as you don't hurt Wenli, I can give you the Shen Corporation. The police quickly evacuated the crowd and warned Shen Huaishu in a low voice to leave, but he just stared at me without the slightest sign of wavering. My lover is still here. I can't leave. Tears fell like broken beads, and I struggled violently. Shen Huaishu, go, leave. Qingli's hand around my neck kept tightening and threatened. Shut up. My eyes went dark, and I coughed violently, almost vomiting up my bile. You smear the gasoline on yourself. As long as you die, I'll let her go. How about that? I shook my head desperately at Shen Huaishu. My heart was clenched into a ball, and the pain was almost suffocating. Okay, I'll do as you say. Shen Huaishu squatted down and scooped up the gasoline and smeared it on his clothes. Qingli had already lost his mind and laughed loudly. Wenli, look, you've killed him again. I'm not the culprit, you are. When you're underground, don't blame me. Blame yourselves for being useless. No, baby, you're not wrong. From the beginning to the end, it's him who's been causing trouble. Shen Huaishu smiled gently at me. The warmth between us obviously made Qingli even more excited, and his hand holding the lighter started to shake. Only the weak make excuses for their failures and shift the blame after they fail. Shen Huaishu stood up and pressed forward step by step. You're talking nonsense. I didn't lose. I didn't lose. I didn't lose at all. Qingli completely broke down, kept muttering to himself, and his movements became sluggish. In a moment of distraction, he exposed the part of his body that had been hidden behind me. The police hiding in the dark pulled the trigger and shot Qingli. Run. Shen Huaishu seized the opportunity and pounced on me, tightly protecting me under him. The lighter fell uncontrollably, and in an instant, flames burst out and the heat wave roared. The electronic devices made ear-piercing cracking sounds, and the current crackled. A sense of fear swept over me, and I held his bloodless face and cried out hoarsely, Shen Huaishu, wake up, help, someone come quickly. Fortunately, the fire brigade had been on standby downstairs, and the fire was extinguished in time, but Shen Huaishu's back was still severely burned. In the hospital room, I couldn't stop crying when I looked at his body covered in bandages. The terrifying images from my previous life kept flashing in my mind, and I was extremely scared. Shen Huaishu looked at me with tears in my eyes and smiled helplessly. Come here and give me a hug. I wiped away my tears and carefully nestled into his arms. Yes, I've completely gotten rid of Shen Huaishu, this pervert, but I'm still scared. Let's not think about this. Let's talk about something else. After my mind slowly turned for a long time, I still subconsciously thought of Shen Huaishu's choice to sacrifice himself for me in both lifetimes. When he agreed to Qingli's request, he didn't even hesitate. It seems that in Shen Huaishu's world, there's only me, and nothing else is enough to hold him back. Shen Huaishu, Is there anything you can't let go of? Yes, but very few. For example, the evening breeze I felt when I saw you on that early summer night, and you who were willing to kiss me when you were 18, my cheeks burned. And I felt a bit awkward unconsciously. Really, I can't stand it when this pervert suddenly acts pure. Then aren't you afraid of death? If I die, will my tombstone have your name on it? Shen Huaishu held me tightly and laughed in a low voice. Yes, then I'm not afraid anymore. Story 2. After 8 years of marriage to Qin Mo, I experienced an ectopic pregnancy with my first child. During that time, he held me tightly and reassured me. Whether we have children or not won't affect our relationship, I only need you. However, on the day I had my surgery, he spent the whole evening holding a canary, watching fireworks. He even said to the canary, "Only I would want a hen that can't lay eggs." As the fireworks lit up the sky like a myriad of stars, our child was forever lost to sleep. It's okay, I don't need the child or the husband anymore. When Qin Mo returned from a business trip, I was sorting out his clothes and found a piece of women's lingerie. Upon seeing it, he casually threw it into the trash can saying, "Can you stop snooping around my things?" The edge of the black fabric was carelessly hanging over the rim of the bin. Qin Mo's phone was on the bedside table and lit up while I was lost in thought. Numbly, I picked it up and unlocked it. The password was still my birthday. The WeChat profile picture was a plush rabbit. "Are you up yet?" I scrolled up to find Qin Mo had taken a photo of the clothes lying in the trash can. Brother is so naughty, stealing someone's clothes and even getting them dirty. Qin Mo sent her 10,000 yuan with a message. "Is this enough to buy 10 pieces? Send me pictures when you get them. Do you want pictures with them on or off? What do you think, brother? You're so naughty." I forced myself to endure the disgust and photographed all the chat records with my phone. Then set the message status to unread and put the phone back. Qin Mo came in smelling of cooking oil. I prepared the food. "Do you want me to cut some fruit for you?" I gave him a faint smile. "Sure." As soon as he turned around, I rushed to the bathroom to vomit. Hearing the noise, he didn't come back but impatiently shouted from the doorway, "I told you not to eat random stuff, you never listen. I think your infertility is because of your eating habits, always blaming your poor health." Remembering the chat logs I had just seen, I felt a surge of nausea and almost threw up bile. The girl had asked him how it felt. He replied, "Nowhere as good as you, shy, JPG. What about your wife? Her body's like dried raisins, more off-putting than a streetwalker's. I'll wear the new clothes for you when they arrive." Oh my, I'm so embarrassed. I came out of the bathroom pale-faced. He was already sitting at the dining table, eating and rapidly texting. He just glanced at me briefly and then lowered his head. "About that piece of clothing." He abruptly put down his chopsticks and phone, irritation clear in his expression. "That was a sample given to me by a new project partner at the company. Can you stop digging into every little thing, Suman? It's really annoying." You know, after Qin Mo left the house, I went to the hospital alone. This wasn't the first time I had experienced such vomiting. It was just the first time he had seen it. We had always wanted a child, although my body never seemed to agree. He had said before that we could go without children, but as time passed, seeing him enviously looking at other people's children always filled me with guilt and sadness. I loved him so deeply and wanted to have our own child, to build a proper home together. I had suggested separating, but he cried and protested. He said he would never leave me just because we couldn't have children. That wasn't what a man would do. But when did he become so cold and heartless towards me? We first met when he was the notorious bully at 3rd middle school, and I was a nerdy bookworm. It was a cliché scene. I saw him fighting at the school gates and called the police for him. After that, the thugs he fought with started targeting me. One day, they cornered me on the way home from school. "Heard you're his girl. If we can't beat him, beating his woman is just the same." Before they could touch me, he appeared, cigarette in mouth, and kicked the ruffian who tried to hurt me. At first, he always called me dummy, bookworm. Later, he called me sister, because he couldn't attend the same school as me and cried the whole day. During the repeat year of his studies, he would always sneak off to my school. Seeing me walking with another guy would bring him to tears. "You can't flirt with anyone else. I've set my heart on you. Watching you with someone else might as well kill me." To ease his mind, I visited him once a week. Later, his family cut off his allowance because he refused to study abroad. I worked part-time jobs tirelessly, working whenever I wasn't in class. It was a struggle, but we managed to get him through that repeat year. Eventually, he joined me at my school, and once we made our relationship official, he always talked about spending our lives together. In his 3rd year, while I was interning elsewhere, he and his friends were busy starting a business. Sometimes we wouldn't see each other for a month. but he would still call me daily, insisting on keeping the video call going even during his classes. That was until he collapsed from exhaustion and got pneumonia after getting caught in the rain, which landed him in the hospital. I took time off work to take care of him. When he woke up, he hugged me and cried, Man, I'm scared of dying because I can't bear the thought of never seeing you again. Will you stay by my side forever? I won't let you suffer, I promise." He kept his word and within a year became a rising tech mogul in the capital. I no longer had to desperately seek clients and chase performance targets. Clients flocked to us like butterflies to a flower, and within 6 months, I had started my own company. Even his father began to see him in a new light, yet, despite my accomplishments matching his father still looked down on me. "She has no power or background, a simple family history. How will she help you in the future?" The first time he took me home, his father said this right in front of me, but he firmly held me close and said, "I want her, and no one else. Would you want her even if she can't have children?" At that time, his father even dug up my medical records from the hospital, due to overworking during my part-time jobs in college. I was told by doctors that my chances of getting pregnant were slim. Upon hearing this, Chinemo simply said, "It doesn't matter, having children or not won't affect our relationship, I just need you." But today, he poured scalding hot tea into my already festering wound. The scab might never form now. Just 3 weeks ago, a new life began growing inside me. I sent a message to my best friend. She sent a bunch of congratulations. Finally, I get to be a godmother. It's an ectopic pregnancy, and also, Chinemo has cheated. She then retracted all her previous messages and sent one last line, "If you don't leave him, don't come to me." I called Chinemo, but his assistant answered the phone. He never let his assistant answer my calls because he had told the assistant that he must personally take calls from me. "Madam, the boss is currently unavailable." The assistant's voice was anxious, fearing my reaction, as I had always been temperamental and delicate since being with him. People say love is like nurturing a flower. I could be delicate when he loved me, but without his love, my delicacy became disgusting. "I understand. Tell him to come home tonight." I prepared a table full of his favorite dishes, but he didn't return even by midnight, nor did he call. I reluctantly used my morning memory to search for that girl's WeChat name on Weibo. I actually found it, and just a minute ago, she had posted a status. She had just uploaded a photo of a man, topless and face unseen, in a dim and blurry light, yet, I recognized him at first glance. It was Chinemo. His physique was impressive, with well-defined abs and broad shoulders tapering to a slim waist. Even at 28, he still maintained himself well, but what made me recognize him wasn't his body. But, it wasn't just the faint scar on his left shoulder, but now there was a fresh bite mark on that shoulder. The girl's caption read, "A seal of love for brothers metal heart." Every time, when our emotions ran deep, I would bite the scar on his shoulder. Each time, he would laugh softly, looking both rogue and handsome. "Sis, still got the strength to bite me? How about a few more times?" Sometimes when he annoyed me, he would cheekily bring his shoulder close to my mouth for a bite. "Come on, a bite and it won't hurt anymore. I'll let sister bite me for a lifetime." What did I say back then? I said, "You better keep your word, or I'll never look back for the rest of my life." It turns out there was indeed a day when I had to fulfill my own promise. Well, no need for a farewell dinner now. I just can't figure it out. My husband was fine. How did he suddenly turn bad? Everyone said I married a good man, that everyone should look for a man like Chinemo. It was only after I went through this girl's Weibo thoroughly that I understood. Turns out she was a girl his family had once sponsored. Her first Weibo post was a photo with Chinemo, the brother who sponsors me. "He's so handsome. When will I ever be worthy to stand by his side?" In the photo, Chinemo stood beside her with a slightly cynical air, his expression unreadable. But I saw a unique tenderness in his eyes that was reserved just for him. I remembered a day after we were together. He mentioned that his family was sponsoring a little girl who was very hardworking and always wanted to come to our city. He only brought her up that one time. Early the next day, he rushed back looking disheveled. His usual neat shirt was only half-tucked, and his beard had grown quite a bit, but his face wore a look of satisfaction. When he saw me having breakfast, he came over wanting to hug and kiss me, but I coldly pushed him away. "Dirty." He playfully scraped my nose and chuckled, still mad. "Didn't my assistant tell you yesterday? I had to finalize a project urgently. Didn't even come home." I put down my chopsticks. "I'm going to work." He put down his briefcase, took off his coat, and tried to hug me. I kept his hands away. I said, "I'm going to work." He suddenly frowned. "Didn't I tell you that you don't have to work this hard? Why are you going to work again? I've rested long enough." I looked into his eyes, void of any emotion. "Half a year ago, I was accidentally hit by a prop on the set and nearly drowned. Chin Mo was both angry and scared. Not only did he sue the entire production team, but he also used drastic measures to bring down the investors. Afterwards, he didn't want me to work, saying he was afraid I would get hurt again, and that he could earn plenty of money. Indeed, he wasn't lying. He gave me dozens of credit cards, each with no spending limit. "I'll drive you." He grabbed his clothes and keys and followed me out. I knew I couldn't argue with him, so I let him drive me. I had forgotten to bring a hair tie, so I casually opened the central glove compartment. A pack of sanitary pads, one missing, and an open pack of brown sugar ginger tea lay quietly inside. My blood froze instantly, and I was stuck in place. I'm allergic to that brand of sanitary pads, and I never drink brown sugar ginger tea, because I hate ginger. Chin Mo noticed my unusual behavior and pulled over. Seeing me staring blankly at the items inside, he picked up the hair tie from those items and handed it to me. "Isn't this what you were looking for?" I stared at him coldly. "Aren't you going to explain? These aren't yours." "What's there to explain?" His impatience showed again, and I calmly smiled. "Yes, there's nothing to explain." The old me would have probably made a scene by now, but today, the more evidence of his infidelity, the more relaxed I became. He seemed to be struck by my response, becoming completely stiff. Before leaving, he tenderly tied up my hair. "There, it's been too long since you rode in my car. You've forgotten your own things." Has it been too long since I rode in his car, or too long since he loved me? I didn't ask, because I no longer wanted the trash that could be so easily taken away. Just after arriving at the company, I asked my assistant for the contact details of the best divorce lawyer in the city. I also scheduled surgery for next week, and Jo-won booked her flight in advance, saying she would come to accompany me. So, my visit to the company today was solely to clear up the shares, preparing for the property division. But I didn't expect her to come. She was very beautiful, dressed in branded and luxury items. She didn't look at all like she came from a rural area. Instead, she seemed like a pampered city girl who had been coddled for over 20 years. "Miss Sue, you know who I am, right?" As she spoke, she placed her handbag on the table. The logo on the bag was familiar to me. It was from a private workshop where Chin Mo had my custom bags made. The owner was quite peculiar, making custom bags only for Chin Mo. "Wow. I can't believe brother gave you such a big company, and I'm just a little assistant under him." "What, you want more?" She chuckled lightly. "Of course, but I'm not in a hurry. Once you step down, all this will naturally be mine. You probably don't know, but brother said you're like a hen that can't lay eggs." She looked somewhat smug. I raised an eyebrow. "So what? I can bear children. I'll give brother many, many children. You must know how much brother loves children." She showed me a video. It was a video of Chin Mo and her playing games with children at an orphanage. In the video, Chin Mo was laughing happily, walking along with the children, exchanging smiles with her. Then she opened another video, this one in a hotel. In the video, she asked Chin Mo, "Your wife hasn't had children, you don't blame her. A hen that can't lay eggs, what's there to blame? She's only useful to me." Hearing the man's condescending tone, I remained unusually calm. "You're the best." He casually blew smoke rings. "Isn't it good to set oneself up as a good man?" After the video ended, I felt a surge of nausea and hurried to the restroom to vomit. It was utterly disgusting. I directly called Chin Mo. His assistant answered the phone. I forced a smile. His little canary came to trouble me. Seems she wasn't pampered enough. Do I need to send her back to him? Less than 10 minutes later, Chin Mo arrived. The girl hid behind him upon seeing him. "Brother." He anxiously looked her over, seeing nothing wrong, and then turned to ask me, "You didn't do anything to her, did you?" I crushed the cigarette in my hand, unable to smoke, just holding it to smell, so anxious. He frowned at the cigarette between my fingers. "When did you?" I stood up, leaning on the desk with a bright smile. "Why not hide it better?" Chin Mo's expression stiffened, and he distanced himself from the girl. "It's not what you think. Ching Ching is just my assistant. Remember, she's a girl my family once helped." I nodded. "I remember." He seemed to breathe a sigh of relief, then tossed Su Qing's bag to her and told her to go out. Su Qing stomped her foot in frustration. "Brother, get out," he suddenly yelled at her. Even I was startled. His eyes, red and full of fury, softened when he turned to look at me, replaced by the tenderness and fear I hadn't seen in a long time. Man, wife, I didn't know she would come to you. I won't let her appear in front of you anymore." "Whatever." I waved nonchalantly, indifferent to wherever she chose to go. He seemed surprised by my calm demeanor, but mostly, he appeared relieved. He walked over, took my hand gently, and kissed it. "Wife, I'm sorry, I was wrong these past few days." He rambled on about how busy work was and how tired he felt. He even apologized for the harsh words he had spoken that morning and went so far as to show me a lingerie collaboration project his company was working on. I was so annoyed by his incessant chatter and disgusted to the point of nausea. After pulling my hand away, I took a document out of the drawer and handed it to him. He opened it with a puzzled look. "What's this?" He had just pulled out half of the paper from the envelope when he suddenly threw the contract on the table. "I disagree. It was a divorce agreement. I had printed it out as soon as I arrived, and the lawyer had mentioned that our financial ties weren't extensive, though now there was a child involved. Truthfully, I hadn't initially wanted him. But when I found out he was coming, I couldn't bear to let go. Fortunately, fate made the choice for me. It was as if even the heavens were aiding me." He paced around the office. "Why, man, I've apologized. Why do you still want a divorce?" "Because of Ching. I've told you, she's just my assistant. You don't like her. Fine, I'll fire her right away." Watching him flit about in front of me like a desperate clown, I had to interrupt him. "Stop pretending. It's nauseating." "I'm not," he said, pouting, his voice trembling and his expression as anxious as the day our college entrance exam results were released. That was the first time I saw him cry. Ever since he played the hero and rescued me, he had always followed me around. He'd follow me to and from school and appear at my classroom door during breaks, fooling around with a group of boys. Someone teased him. "Something's off. Hanging around our class door every day. Who has caught your eye? Who else but the best?" He admitted openly. Back then, I was the top student in my grade, and everyone knew who he was referring to. His friends joked, "She's the top student. Liking her won't change your prospects. You guys are destined for different universities." From that day on, he did more than just follow me. He clung to me for tutoring and begged for my class notes. Over time, even those who knew him began to believe he had truly changed. Because of me. Even the teachers tolerated his occasional skipping of classes to join mine, because he was so diligent, uncharacteristically so. Yet even with all his efforts, he still didn't perform well. I was the humanities valedictorian, and his scores could only get him into a second-tier university. He knew I wouldn't lower my standards to choose a university with him, so on the day the results were announced, he first congratulated me with a smile, but then he started crying. Man, what do we do? I don't want to be separated from you. I just can't." I scolded him playfully. "Stop playing the victim." "I'm not," he replied, looking as pitiful as a puppy that had been abandoned. Only then did I truly believe that the school's tough guy, the big shot bully, was genuinely heartbroken because he couldn't attend the same university as me. The same trick, which had deceived me over a decade ago, no longer worked. Seeing that I remained unmoved, he quickly switched tactics. "Suman, I'm begging you. Please, can't you forgive me just this once? Why, after over a decade of being together, you want to just call it quits?" "I won't sign the papers." "Absolutely not. You can forget about it." He tore the divorce agreement to shreds, as if to vent his frustration. I sat there watching his tantrum, completely unmoved, until he slammed the door and left. A tear fell onto the table with a soft plink. I raised my hand to wipe it away, but the tears kept coming. After all, we had been together for so many years. How did it come to this? For 5 consecutive days, Chinemo didn't come home at night. It seemed like he was doing it on purpose, having his friends take loads of photos and posting them online. All the pictures showed him getting cozy with Yu Qing. There were photos of them kissing in a club, bungee jumping together, and having a water fight at the beach. He looked carefree in every single one. I had someone move all my belongings out of the house and burned what I didn't want. What couldn't be burned, I smashed. They weren't even worthy of being called trash, just worthless junk. In less than a day, the house was empty. After I finished, Zhou came over. As soon as I met her, we went to the hospital. She looked at my thin face, tears streaming down her cheeks. "It's been tough, my treasure." I held her hand, not crying, but feeling a warmth in my heart. "It's okay. It's like I've died and come back." Before the surgery, the doctor asked for a family member to sign the paperwork. Since I had no relatives around, the only person left was Qin Mo. I had no choice but to call him. Maybe he would want to see his unborn child one last time. As soon as the call connected, I could hear a girl's moaning on the other end. "Brother, let go of me. Damn it, your mother's dead." Zhou couldn't help but shout into the phone. Yi Qing suddenly started crying. "Woo-woo. Brother, someone cursed at me." Qin Mo, as if just realizing, picked up the phone with a fierce tone. "Suman, why the hell are you barking? Didn't you say I have something going on with Qing? There was nothing before, but there is now. Are you happy? Even so, don't even think about divorcing me. Who else would want you? Only I would want someone who can't have children." I suppressed my anger and calmly said, I'm at the hospital. I need you to come and sign a document. Yi Qing giggled over the phone, brother, come help me. I can't fasten my clothes. Qing Mo's hoarse voice suddenly seemed distant. Wait, then it sounded closer. No time. He hung up the phone. I smiled at the nurse and asked if I could sign for myself. She had overheard the entire conversation and gave me a deep look before slowly nodding. Zhou Wan was sobbing uncontrollably beside me. Before entering the surgery room, I checked Yi Qing's social media, 10 minutes ago. She had posted a new status, Qing, woo-woo. I just cried my eyes out. But brother said he's arranged fireworks all over the capital for me to see later. I'm so happy. Just then, the lawyer called. He told me we had enough evidence to file for divorce. Suddenly, I felt the child was fortunate. Baby, it's good you won't come into this world. Find mommy again in your next life, I whispered to my belly. When I opened my eyes again, it wasn't Zhou Wan I saw, but Yi Qing, after looking around. I eventually just closed my eyes again. No need to look anymore. He doesn't know, Yi Qing said as she sat down in front of me, arms crossed. I heard it was an ectopic pregnancy. Such a pity. Your brother almost had a child. Get out, I said weakly, my voice sounding as if I were crying. She seemed unaffected and even chuckled. But no worries, I'll soon have your brother's child. Last night, he didn't use protection. He said he wanted a child with me. Of course, I agreed immediately. I couldn't wait. Just then, Zhou Wan came in with a food tray, saw her sitting by my bed, and without a word, threw the tray at her, splashing her with soup. What kind of tramp dares to make a scene here? Yi Qing screamed, calling Zhou Wan a crazy woman and started pulling her hair. I struggled to get up and began throwing anything I could find on the table at Yi Qing. Zhou Wan quickly twisted her head towards me, and I hit her with a water pitcher, immediately raising a bump on her head. The next second, she came at me. I managed to press the call button, but still couldn't dodge her slap. Already weak, I was left completely drained of energy. Zhou Wan, furious, kicked her relentlessly in the stomach until hospital staff intervened to separate them. Eventually, they were both taken to the police station. And I lay in the hospital directing my lawyer to assist Zhou Wan. At the police station, Zhou Wan and Su Man's lawyer sat on one side, while Yi Qing hid behind Qin Mo. He sternly asked why Su Man hadn't come. Clutching his arm, Yi Qing wept. Brother, it was Su Man who hit me on the forehead. Many people saw it. Zhou Wan raised her hand to hit her again, saying, looks like I didn't hit you enough. Come here. The lawyer quickly pulled her back. Qin Mo suddenly shouted, enough. Why isn't Su Man here? Zhou Wan spat at him disdainfully. Get lost, you and your tramp. Don't even think about knowing where Su Man is. Ultimately, since the surveillance footage showed that Zhou Wan was the instigator, she had to compensate financially, but she felt it was money well spent. You're welcome, you whore. Consider this a reward from me for taking care of that trash for my friend. Before getting into the car, Qin Mo tried to stop her. He felt uneasy. Aware that something was off, Zhou Wan rarely came back from abroad, and now she was here without Su Man, who couldn't be reached by phone. It didn't make sense that Su Man would be unaware of the conflict. He tried to detain her, but her lawyer suddenly handed him a divorce petition. Mr. Qin, I am Zhangqing, MS, Su Man's divorce attorney. Here is MS, Su Man's petition for divorce. The court will notify you to appear. Prepare yourself. Stunned, Qin Mo shook his head in disbelief. Impossible, she wouldn't divorce me. Are you a scammer? How much money do you want? Zhou Wan, mustering all her strength, slapped him. This slap is on behalf of my friend. Just get lost. You think too highly of yourself, feeling superior even after an affair. What makes you think she wouldn't divorce you? It's her fault. She doesn't trust me. Qin Mo bellowed, his eyes red with anger. Zhou Wan scoffed derisively at his pathetic excuse. She refused to listen to him and, pulling the car door open, prepared to leave, but he persisted. Where is Su Man? I need to see her. Why should I tell you? After that, Zhou Wan brushed off his hand and left with her lawyer. Qin Mo followed closely behind her. Zhou Wan frowned. I forgot to shake him off. I patted her hand reassuringly, telling her it was okay. This day was bound to come sooner or later. Soon, only Qin Mo and I were left in the hospital room. He was still clutching the lawsuit papers my lawyer had given him. Wife, he stuttered, looking at me helplessly, perhaps alarmed by the paleness of my lips. What's wrong with you? His fingers trembled as he tried to touch my face, but I turned away, furrowing my brow. Don't touch me with your filthy hands, it's disgusting. He quickly withdrew his hand, repeatedly wiping it on his suit. I'm not dirty. I haven't done anything. What's wrong with you? Why didn't you tell me you were hospitalized? Because you don't deserve to know, I said. looking at him steadily. My child, he didn't deserve to see, so there was no need to tell him. I thought I wouldn't know anything after the anesthesia, but he once shared a heart with me. He was once a vibrant life. I didn't even get a chance to look at him properly before he was gone, but he didn't seem lonely, because when he left, there were fireworks everywhere. The nurse told me that the fireworks started all over the capital just after my surgery was finished. They were beautiful, spectacular. One nurse said to me, although he didn't come into this world, he saw the spectacular fireworks as he left. In his next life, he will surely have a splendid life, and so will you in the future. Yes, I will too in the future. So I need to let go of things that don't let me shine. Although the fireworks were not meant for me, my child saw them, so I thank them for that. I don't agree to the divorce. Man, I was wrong. I really was wrong. He suddenly knelt on the ground, not daring to place his hands on my bed but leaning against it, and began to cry with his head bowed. I held my head high, trying hard not to shed tears. After a long silence, I finally sniffed and said, Chin Mo. He suddenly looked up. Wife, you will forgive me, right? His face was tear-streaked and pitiful, and he indeed knew how to tug at my heartstrings, with a handsome face and a look of utter grievance, along with tears streaming down his face. But now, my heart was hardened. You always say you were wrong, but do you really think you were wrong? Actually, you intentionally let me find out about you and Yi Qing, right? After all, if someone wanted to hide it, their phone wouldn't just be lying around where I could see it, and you set a password that you knew I knew. He shook his head. No, I didn't. Man, you think I resent you because I didn't have a child, but because of past promises. You couldn't say anything to me, nor blame me, as that would make you lose the image of a good man. But you still couldn't hold back that day. You exposed yourself. You thought I would be hysterical, but I wasn't. So, you thought I didn't care about it at all and continued to test my limits. The best scenario for you was to catch you cheating, and then you could justify it by blaming me for not being able to have children, saying, Suman, you can't have children. Is it wrong for me to find someone who can? You're not wrong. But your mistake was in continually testing me, hurting me. You knew what you were doing would upset me, but you did it anyway. You allowed your canary to come to me, to provoke me. You still took her out to have fun, deliberately sending me those photos of you two to upset me, expecting me to give in, even pretending to forget what I like, just to anger me. But whether it's pretend or not doesn't matter anymore. Still, I have to tell you, I'm allergic to that brand of sanitary pads you bought me. When you first bought them without knowing, I had such a severe reaction I ended up in the hospital, and you were so guilt-ridden you couldn't sleep for 3 days. Also, I never drink brown sugar ginger tea because I hate ginger. Back when we were in school, you would pick out the ginger from my food every day. For 7 or 8 years, Chin Mo knelt down, took my hand, and pressed it against his face. Stop talking, man. Please stop. I was wrong. I really was. Man, can you forgive me? Let's start over. It seemed like he only just realized he was about to lose me, but why did he only realize it now? Start over. If you can bring back my child, then we can start over. He suddenly froze, looking at me in disbelief, his mouth opened and closed. And finally, only a trembling voice came from his throat. Child, we had a child. I took out a photo from the drawer. It was a CT scan, but I couldn't bear to part with it, so I had it printed as a photo. Yes, but he's already gone. He took the photo, his fingers trembling as he touched it. He shook his head desperately at me. You're lying, right? Man, it can't be. How can it be gone? You're joking with me, right? Man. I know I've been too much lately. I shouldn't have made you angry. I shouldn't have upset you. I really messed up. Man, please tell me you're just joking. I raised my hand and slapped him. This slap is for our child. If he was born, he would have slapped you too. Are you awake now? Chin Mo's face turned to the side from the slap. Only when the imprint of the slap appeared did his body stiffen and he turned back. Why, man, why? It's our child, he cried heartbreakingly, but I felt no sympathy. Because his mother is a barren hen who couldn't lay eggs, so he didn't want to stay in my belly at all, I said jokingly, but he suddenly stood up and hugged me, burying his face in my shoulder. Stop, please, man, stop talking. He knew these were his own words, but I ignored him and continued. His father said his mother couldn't have children, that no one would want his mother but him. I said it mechanically, yet he held me tighter. Man, I really messed up. None of those were my true feelings. Please, don't leave me, don't. I love you, man, I really love you. I patted his back. I love you too, but, you lost the me who loved you. I stayed in the hospital for 2 days, and Chin Mo knelt outside for 2 days. Jojo hit and kicked him but he didn't leave. Later, Yi Qing also came, and I slapped her 5 times in front of everyone. She cried and hid behind Chin Mo. But Chin Mo dragged her out for me to hit. I laughed at him. Chin Mo. Using a woman as a shield, that's really something. He didn't look at me, just knelt in front of me and started slapping himself. Before noon, a video circulated online titled, "Famous Company CEO Kneels and Slaps Himself at the Hospital." It was in high definition, unblurred, even Yi Qing's face was captured in it. Soon, her Weibo was exposed, and the truth came to light. It turned out that Yi Qing, relying on her status as a sponsored individual, had disrupted someone's family and was even flaunting her affair on social media. Suddenly, she was like a rat crossing the street, everyone clamoring to denounce her. Later, it was also revealed that she had been quite promiscuous back in her rural village. Relying on her good looks, she seduced the village chief just to secure a sponsorship spot. It was said that she was even caught by the village chief's wife once, but managed to settle the matter with some money, and it was dropped. Chin Mo's company stocks also plummeted to an all-time low. Even his father came to the hospital to give him a beating. Surprisingly, he told his son, "I will lose respect for you if you don't get a divorce." And then he left. I must say, I agree with that statement. As soon as I was discharged from the hospital, Zhou Rong and I bought plane tickets to go abroad. I left the divorce proceedings entirely to my lawyer, Chin Mo. Upon discovering that I had emptied our home, frantically tried to reclaim the past, he even came to harass me where I was staying. I only gave him a small star. After taking it, he cried again. I could only sigh. No one will pity your tears anymore. With that, I left. I knew he would agree to the divorce. Star, that was the nickname I had given him, because when he came into my life, he shone like a star, so, I kept him in my eyes, in my heart. I wanted to be radiant, but I had also said, if one day I felt that the star no longer shined, then I wouldn't want it anymore, because if it's not shining, it's not my fault. It means the star is broken. What if the star is fixed? He asked stubbornly, much like years ago when he didn't want me mingling with other boys. I smiled at him. Sister doesn't need it anymore. Now I am my own star. A month after I went abroad, Chin Mo sent me the divorce papers. He also gave me a lot of property. He sold his company and invested in a project treating ectopic pregnancies. However, I had little faith in him, because he couldn't even protect his own child. How could he protect someone else's? As expected, within just 6 months, he failed, because Yi Qing clung to him desperately, actually carrying his child. She continuously tried to climb the social ladder, but Chin Mo gave her no chance and ultimately caused her to miscarry. His reputation was completely ruined. His father brought him back to the Qin family home and locked him away, but he went mad, constantly saying he needed to be with his wife, clutching his phone to answer his wife's calls. Seeing a paper star, he would insanely claim it was folded by his wife. With no other choice, his father finally admitted him to a psychiatric hospital. One day, I suddenly received a call. There was silence on the other line. After asking several times, a voice finally spoke. Man, I'm scared to death. I'm scared I'll never see you again." I hung up and continued surfing with my best friend at the beach. 3 days later, a news alert popped up back home. Qin Corporation's heir Chin Mo committed suicide in a psychiatric hospital 3 days ago. It was said that he kept mentioning how scared he was. I casually flipped past the news. The next headline read, "The Leonid meteor shower will arrive next week." Wow, there's a meteor shower to watch.